Well, to be honest, I'm a little bit scared to go to jail. I mean, what if they trim my mustache? You know how much time I've spent grooming this mustache? And what if a big black guy that looks like Michelle Obama wants to make me his bitch? Do I fight back, or do I become his bitch? I don't even know what to do, to be honest. This is not good, you guys.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the following program. I am your host, Joe Neerman, aka Good Logic. I hope you all had a phenomenal day. Today, overall, was a pretty good day. Pretty good day indeed. I guess pretty good news, right? I know no horrible news. If there's no horrible news, that's a pretty good day. Just so you know what? We made it through today without horrible news. I mean, there is one bad thing, which is obviously Save America Act. That was bad. All right, that was bad. That was pretty bad. That was pretty disastrous. Well, that's definitely one of the things we're going to be talking about tonight. On tonight's show, we're going to be talking about the RINOs who buried the Save America Act, which is officially done for 2026. It's impossible that thing is going to pass for 2026. And who knows? Who knows? And I'm going to definitely talk with you about what this means, what this means going forward. Also, the big news today, John Bolton, former security advisor for Donald Trump, who turned on Trump as a tremendously evil, disgusting, dark, terrible human being, and found his comeuppance. Today, he pled guilty. I'm going to talk about what that means and why that's potentially very, very significant. Very, very significant for Donald Trump and his administration in a positive way going forward. And finally, I want to talk about a controversial story involving a very big YouTuber who went public with the fact that he and his wife aborted their child when they learned that the fetus had, from testing the fetus, that the child would have Down syndrome. I think it's going to germinate a very, very interesting dialogue. We have a goal tonight. I'm going to give you two things if we got a goal, okay? We hit this goal. I'm definitely going to want people to talk to about this whole abortion of Downs. I think that this is a really, really interesting topic. And so if we hit the goal, I'm definitely going to have a section of call in plus Saturday night show. Plus the Saturday night show. So it's really a 2-for-1. I'm doing everything I can to sort of make life as exciting as possible. In particular for this guy over here.
Right. I wore the shirt for you. The Nephilim.
The Nephilim. It's Nephilim.
Okay, whatever. For them.
Why is there a shirt called the Nephilim?
It's a comic book.
Is it?
Yeah. It's a comic book.
Nephilim is the feeling is reference to the ones who, the angels who fell from
the Watchers.
Is that what they are? The Watchers?
Wow.
Is that? I don't know when they became the Watchers. When did they become the Watchers?
Well, they were here to watch us, and then they fell. I don't know. It depends. Some people say they were the spawn of when the Anunnaki bred with the humans, but hey, we don't have to get into all that.
Bnei Hanak min Hanephilim is how it's written in Hebrew. The children of the giants. But that's children of giants from the Nephilim. So
why did they all have red hair?
I didn't hear that either.
I don't know.
I just made that up. I never. What? How are you, Jim?
I'm great. I had the best intro video for you, and you didn't see it.
I missed the. Let's pretend you haven't seen anything yet. We're gonna do Jim's intro video.
Ready?
Fuck. Cali. Fuck. Hey.
Dude. This is a family show.
Dude, those are prominent Democrats. I can't help it. They have bad language like that.
I don't care.
That's how they talk.
What the heck was that?
I don't know. Siddiq gave me that to play for you. That's what he told me.
Thank you so much. Even when he's not here, it's like the stench of cynic just sort of carries over from Wednesday into Thursday. Unbelievable.
He's like, Joe would love this. He's like,
Joe would totally love this. Totally. Yeah, no, he has a real bead on what it is that Joe would love. Yeah. All right. Well, anyway,
I apologize. I apologize on Cynic's behalf. He's sometimes I don't know. I thought I raised him better.
I don't know what's wrong with that kid. Whatever it is. Whatever it is. Now, I didn't get a chance. Did you? I assume you sent out an email to me today. Didn't? Yeah?
I sent a very extensive email to you today.
I didn't even look at it. When I made today's show. Were there any key topics in your email that I missed?
Well, the John Bolton thing was in there. Some of the stuff, like I've been trying to send the emails out earlier in the day. I don't know if you've noticed
he's sending them out now, like at 1 p.m., 2 p.m. Yeah. It's very early. They're coming in now.
Yeah, but
so the John Bolton one was definitely in there.
John Bolton one was in there. There was a stuff updates about the Carmelo Anthony murder trial. SCOTUS sides with Trump on federal regulation of telecom companies. The House passed a resolution to halt military action in Iran, but I don't think it really means much because
I definitely want to talk about the House resolution on Iran. Well, I almost talked about it yesterday. I want to talk, and I think it's important to understand the legal ramifications of this House resolution. Okay, so
I don't think there are any because A, the War Powers Act's unconstitutional, and B, it would still have to get passed in the Senate, and Trump could veto it. So.
Yeah, it's
no.
Yeah, for the most part. I don't think it has any.
Todd Blanche. Trump nominated Todd Blanche to be permanent AG.
Yeah, that's going to go swimmingly.
And then what else here? The Senate advances the border funding bill to pay the $79 million or whatever billion or whatever it is to.
We'll cover this if we get to hour 3. Okay, you're gonna just roll.
No, I just wanted to get. I'm just gonna go run through these real quick, just so you can see, since you know the work I put in today.
I know you put in work. This guy puts in.
Did you know that Obama's opening his museum on Juneteenth?
That's very exciting stuff. Very exciting stuff. Well, anyhow, I do want to start off by talking about John Bolton.
Oh, there is breaking news too on backdoor Judge Hannah Dugan.
Oh, is there? What's the breaking news?
They suspended the sentencing because a motion was filed to throw the case out because of some ruling by another court. So you might want to look at it. She might get off.
When did that happen?
Earlier this afternoon.
I missed that.
Oh, it was number 11 on my list.
All right. So in that case, we'll definitely put that into hour 3. I'll give you my legal assessment about what's going on with Hannah Dugan. Definitely going to break that into hour 3. I want to start off by talking about John Bolton because today was a really, really interesting day, and I think very significant potentially for the Trump administration, and I want to share with you why that is. So what we have here, in case you forgot, John Bolton, former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations under the Trump administration, and he was part of his whole war council or his defense council during his first term, and then Trump let him go. He's a massive war hawk. There's no country out there he does not want to bomb. He wants to bomb every Middle Eastern country, Russia, China, half of Europe, Canada. He wants everyone bombed.
Well, in his defense, I think he also wants to bomb California.
Right. Fair enough. Right. He also wrote a book after he left office, and his book apparently got him in some trouble. But once Trump fired him, he became the staunch anti-Trumper you can possibly imagine. Trump is evil. He hated Trump. So if you're unfamiliar with John Bolton and his backstory, that's his backstory. You probably saw his face. I'll get to in a second. But this is what he looks like. He always looked like that guy from not Pepperidge Farm. Who was that actor who was?
Oh, the guy that sold the oatmeal.
Yes.
Oatmeal dude. I can't think of his name. Oh yeah, Wilford Brimley.
Yes, Wilford Brimley. Yes. Okay, you had something you wanted to say before we get into.
Well, what he supposedly did, right, was that while he was whatever national security, something, whatever he was, he took notes in meetings, right, and then he kept those notes and used those notes in his book, which you can't do, right?
And everyone knows this. Yeah. Everyone knows you can't do this. It's not like because you wrote it yourself, all of a sudden you have some sort of ownership on it when you're talking about national security. So this was not something that was just like, oh, wait, was that against the rules? Is that something? No, this is something you get when you're brought into that level circle, you're told very, very, very distinctly what the do's and don'ts are. And that is certainly right up there on the don't list. That's very, very high on the don't list. You don't take any of your stuff back to your own place. So it's not like he was.
This is not like something that they didn't know about. This is not like, putting a private server in a bathroom or something like that.
Which
nobody knew
you could
that
say.
was.
Which someone might say, is that wrong? Should I not have done that? No, this is like rule 1 is like, don't take any of this crap back to your house. Even if you write your own notes, you got to leave that in the office in a secure place, because just because you're writing it, it's the information that's so significant, not the piece of paper it's on. Well, anyhow, this was John Bolton when Trump was indicted, because he was, talking about how significant it is. This is when he was indicted down in Florida for Trump's purportedly wrongful conduct of bringing documents back to Mar-a-Lago, which was, almost certainly 1,000% legal. But this was how he weighed in back then.
Republicans used to believe that not prosecuting criminals led to more crime. The answer here is take the politics out of the decision, and in this case, proceed with the prosecution and do the same for anybody else who does anything even remotely like it. Just read the indictment and ask yourself, if the government can prove what they allege here, shouldn't this man go to jail?
Literally hoisted on his own
petard. Interesting.
Hoisted on his own petard.
He knew what he had done at this point.
Yes. The audacity of this guy.
He just thought that no one would ever come after him.
It was June 2023. Trump was was being indicted. No one thought Trump was no one in his camp certainly thought Trump was ever going to get reelected. Nobody
on the left cared, because he was saying bad things about Trump, and you can do whatever the fuck you want if you say bad things about Trump.
1,000%. You're basically golden in their eyes, especially if you're a former ally, because they're like, you see, his people who know him best, they're the ones who are telling you and confirming our crazy perspective on him that he's evil. So as soon as they can get that confirmation from someone who's, spent 10 minutes in Trump's orbit, they are literally falling all over themselves. They're like, oh man, I'm going to win a Pulitzer for this, because I got this guy who's, obviously scorned, who's going to come out here giving me the inside dope and confirming what all my viewers already know about Trump, which is that he's dark and evil. But it's just funny that he happens to be weighing in on precisely the crime that he later is going to end up pleading guilty to, which, as Jim correctly points out, the actions of that crime he's already committed, like years earlier, but expecting he's never going to face prosecution.
Prove what they allege here. Shouldn't this man go to jail? The simple fact he had the documents, for any reason or no reason, should subject him to prosecution. Republicans used to.
It's unbelievable. This is the audacity of this guy. It's just crazy. It's really nuts.
Did you hear about Tulsi's husband?
Yes. Did you think I was done with the John Bolton story?
No. I just wanted to say, because we were talking about this, because she might be coming back.
Yeah. I actually, we'll get there. We'll get there. Okay. He's so. You see how he just can't wait to get out of the. I just want to share with you.
Trying to keep the show moving.
And I appreciate that. I'm going to give you a heads up, because I really don't like pregame significantly with my co-host.
You used to give me a script. You don't anymore.
I did. Slacking. I gave him a script, and he was supposed to read it and laugh at the appropriate moments. And I haven't done that in a long time. Just to give you a heads up. You see this?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Every tab here. Every tab here is John Bolton.
Okay, all right. I just read it. It says be quiet.
Right. That's the note I had slipped to you. But my point is, I have like an hour of John Bolton.
Oh, okay. Wow.
We're not. Yeah, I have a lot on John. I have a lot of thoughts about the John Bolton thing, because the John Bolton story to me is it's much more significant than John Bolton. It's much more significant. I want to walk my audience through why it's much more significant than just this jackass, pleading guilty and getting 60 months in jail. And
he got 60 months in jail?
That's what he's pleading to.
Yeah, but I heard
60,
about
a sentence of 60 months, which is 5 years. He'll probably serve like 2.5.
I know he had to pay $2 million. I saw that.
Yeah, no, that's what I saw was 60 months in jail. That's,
up to. Okay, all right. Well, now he
faces up to 60 months. Okay, fine, fair enough.
Well, he might. Who knows? What are they going to recommend for him? Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he's pleading down from 18 counts to 1 count. So I think they're probably going to give him the full 60 months. You would think, right?
Well, that's a prosecution. Who knows? Maybe they wanted the money more than anything. They took the money.
Yeah, I got to get my volume here up a little bit. I don't know why it's so low.
Would suck if they make him shave his mustache off.
That's what I had.
I know. I saw that. That's the kind of joke I'm making.
Breaking news, sources revealing that John Bolton is planning to plead guilty to retaining classified information. That plea will likely keep him out of prison. This stems from a charge,
out of
18
prison?
of them at the end of last year, of keeping a diary-like material of classified information. So it looks like that case is moving forward and all likelihood is now settled.
Okay, so I can't believe they're going to let him walk from prison altogether. What's the point to prosecuting him if you're just going to let him walk out of prison? Let me just pull this up. Joe, I just left the grocery store and the kid at the cash register asked, "Do I want to donate to the sad Jew?" I laughed and said, "No, I already do." When I got to my car, I realized he said St. Jude's. Wait, who's the sad Jew? I don't know what that means. Who's the sad Jew? I don't know any sad Jews.
I know the song "Hey Jude."
Yeah, no.
Hey Jude, don't feel so sad. It's a song about it.
Yeah. It was some no-name band that wrote that song. So, breaking: John Bolton pleads guilty to felony. Trump DOJ has secured a guilty plea from disgraced National Security Advisor Bolton on illegally mishandling national security and classified documents, now thrown in prison. He's accused of taking notes of documents, briefings, and emailing them to himself as if it was a diary entry, then printing them out and keeping them after he was fired. He then wrote a memoir, and his home was raided by the feds with secret info found. CNN says it's a felony. Let's hear from CNN.
Bolton is expected to plead guilty over mishandling classified documents. This is according to 3 sources familiar with the matter. I want to go straight to CNN's senior crime and justice correspondent, Caitlin Poland. She has this exclusive reporting. Caitlin, what are you learning?
Pam, the Justice Department securing a guilty plea from John Bolton, the former national security advisor in the first Trump administration. My sources are telling
Notice how they're focusing on, security advisor from the Trump administration. That's how the framing switches on CNN.
Telling me that he is expected to plead guilty to 1 count of illegally retaining classified information or national security information at his home. Now, this was a substantial case that had been investigated very significantly by first the Biden Justice Department the whole way through the beginning of this term of Donald Trump. This is also a man that Donald Trump very much hates and very much wanted to see prosecuted. Now John Bolton is—
How do you know Donald Trump hates him? And that's a statement that she just made. It like it's supposed to be news. And she stated as if there's a man that Donald Trump very much hates.
Well,
does Donald Trump hate anyone? I mean, he gets angry.
To be fair, if you ask Grok to dig up Trump Truth Social posts about John Bolton, there's probably a handful there where he is railing against John Bolton.
I mean, Donald Trump doesn't hate anybody, though. He feels sorry for them because they're stupid.
Okay. All right. But I don't think, of all the stretches that CNN tends to make, I feel like that one is a little lower on the scale compared to like some of the complete BS that they throw out all the time. Because if you ask me, I think Donald Trump probably hates this guy. That's my gut. I think there's a lot of evidence there. This at least has evidence to support the claim, right? I mean, compared to your normal CNN story where they'll just make up whatever the hell they want to.
Agree to plead guilty and be appearing in court at the end of June. Part of what he is alleged to have done here, and we're still waiting to see exactly what he is going to be admitting to in court. What he's alleged to have done here is taken documents or taken notes of documents or briefings he was being given as national security advisor in the first Trump White House, and then emailing them to himself almost as if it were a diary entry, and then printing them out allegedly and keeping them in his home after he was fired as national security advisor in the first Trump administration. He then wrote a memoir, and his home was searched. When his home was searched last August by the FBI, they found multiple electronics and documents with information labeled secret or confidential or classified. Not
In other words, smoking gun after smoking gun.
necessarily the documents themselves, potentially, but he at very least had these diary-like entries. And so his initial case that was charged for 18 counts, he's going to be pleading down to 1 count. We will still be watching to see exactly what the Justice Department asks for in court, whether he should be spending time in prison. That is a possibility. This would be a felony charge for John Bolton. But this is a significant case that the Justice Department has made a deal on to secure a guilty plea of a significant political foe.
I'll tell you this much. If they don't get any prison time out of him, this is an utter fail. That's an utter fail on my end. I cannot abide by. You give him 5 years, I'm like, oh, okay. You know, if you just got $2 million and him admitting guilt, no. The reason this is so significant is because the left is bent out of shape trying to claim that everything about Trump is that he's trying to persecute his enemies. And that's what he's all about. He's all about persecuting his enemies. And that's what they said about Adam Schiff. That's what they said about Tish James. That's what they said about John Bolton. I mean, that's exactly what we've been hearing from them. This is Caitlin Collins.
First reaction to his indictment. John Bolton says he is
in October when he was indicted.
The victim of the very thing that President Trump has spent years complaining about, the weaponization of the Justice Department. Except this time, John Bolton says it's his former boss's Justice Department that is doing precisely that to him. He says in this statement that he looks forward to defending himself against these charges and that he has never compromised American foreign policy or national security during his career. But he makes clear what he believes is the underline of this entire indictment against him, which is the president's retribution. John Bolton has become a huge critic of Donald Trump's. He did not vote for him in the last election, and he criticized the way that Trump approached foreign policy and the presidency, criticisms that obviously were elevated given he had a first-person perspective to all of that.
See, it's all about he was a first-person perspective. Here's someone who's ratting to us about how evil Trump is.
So does CNN think if you take, like, if I write down what a classified document says with my own hands, that makes it not classified anymore?
I have no idea what the hell they think. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of
pretty sure the law says you can't make copies of it and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And like,
it's insane to think that, but this is how hard they were defending him.
As Trump's national security advisor, he makes clear that he believes he is only being targeted here because of those criticisms of Trump. That's the same thing we've heard from people like the New York Attorney General Letitia James and the former FBI Director James Comey, who say they believe all of these prosecutions are driven by politics.
And that's why I think that this is significant. Here's another woman. I don't remember her stupid name. This is Wandering Eye Woman. I forget her name though. But like, compare her talking about Mar-a-Lago to her talking about John Bolton.
Breaking news. We are learning that the FBI executed a search warrant at former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida. We also know that it had turned out earlier, right, that the president had taken a lot of documents that were marked as top secret classified to Mar-a-Lago that
You don't know that. You don't know that at all.
He shouldn't have. I guess
you don't know that at all.
Let's just cut to the bottom line on what's happened here. Do you believe that the raids on John Bolton's home and his office are political payback? Breaking news.
That's the difference.
What do you, that he shouldn't have? He was the fucking president when he brought him there. He can do whatever he wants.
It was retarded. The entire statement was retarded. What was her name? Do you remember this woman's name?
I don't know. I know what I would call
Erin
her.
Burnett. That's it. Yeah, Erin Burnett. There's another one.
Airhead Burnett.
It's clearly retribution.
One after another, every idiot came out when John Bolton was indicted, claiming that this was Trump's weaponization of the DOJ.
I think this is clearly retribution. I mean, the idea that they just picked John Bolton, a prominent critic of the president, at random. What the president is trying to do here is very systemic and systematic, and that is anyone who stands up to the president, anyone who criticizes the president, anyone who says anything adverse to the president's interests, gets the full weight of the federal government brought down on them.
Yeah. And how would you know from such things?
They're essentially going after any critic, any opposition in an effort to intimidate them. That's what this is about. It's not about Bolton per se. It's about anyone else that, like Bolton, might stand up to the president. I think this.
And the reason this is so significant is because this now, it's not significant to you or me. It's not significant to people who are deranged out there with their animus toward Donald Trump. It's significant for the majority of Americans who, pay cursory attention to the news, and they're like, I don't know, is he going after his enemies or not? Well, here you go. Here you go. The guy's pleading guilty. This is someone who was political persecution, and he's pleading guilty. So in that sense, it legitimizes for those people who are ambivalent about these charges against some of his political enemies as to whether or not they're justifiable, whether they're rooted in justice or rooted in persecution, whether it's prosecution or persecution, that they are actually legitimate. So this time, the next time, this way, having a John Bolton conviction, what that does is the next time there's some sort of political enemy of Trump, or someone who's perceived as political enemy, painted as being a political enemy of Trump, that they get hit with charges, they're going to trot out the same idiocy that Schiff is saying right here, that Caitlin Collins was saying, that Erin Burnett was saying, that all of these stupid idiots are saying, and exposing that they are exposing that, no, this was you're just trying to cover up and pretend it's persecution. But we see that this DOJ is actually doing prosecution against actual criminals who are likely to plead guilty or be found guilty.
It's hard to know what to say about this other than there is no way that had Bolton not broken with Donald Trump, he would be facing these charges today. In other words, he's going to have a very strong claim of selective and vindictive prosecution.
This guy is an attorney, constitutional law attorney. He's considered a specialist in constitutional law. And he's saying this is he's got a great defense here, selective prosecution. And this bozo, every time he weighs in publicly on the law, he embarrasses himself and the profession altogether. Do you remember him talking about the 14th Amendment barring Trump from being able to run? And all that other idiocy that he was saying that Colorado's got it right, Maine's got it right. This guy's not allowed to run because he swore an oath to uphold the Constitution and then broke that oath with his insurrection. So the 14th Amendment bars him from being able to run. And he's professing this as a constitutional law expert who ended up, his position on that was decided 9-0 against him. Everyone, even Ketanji Brown Jackson, was like, no, you're wrong. I mean, even when you get KBJ coming out there, agreeing with the rest of the court and saying, yeah, the left is wrong on this one, how far out of your mind, bonkers, does someone like Jamie Raskin have to be to come out there and think that that's a justifiable legal position, that he's like informing the audience, oh, yeah, no, this is clearly a 14th Amendment right there. It's astonishing, this guy. So here he is talking about selective prosecution. It's a great defense. It's weird that Bolton just abandoned
because
that.
It's only being brought because he said that Donald Trump was, melting before Vladimir Putin, was constantly mixing.
Do you know what selective prosecution is?
When you prosecute some people for the same crime that you didn't prosecute other people.
Exactly. How many people does Jamie Raskin think is out there taking notes, photocopying of top secret national intelligence,
sending them to their family
sending them to their family and friends, and publishing them to the world? How many people does he think are out there that are not being prosecuted, that this is the one guy out of them who are prosecuted? Like, what a retarded take this jackass is giving over here.
Well, it could be that he's running cover for himself and other people who are on the Intelligence Committee who are doing the same shit. So they're worried they might come after them next.
So that's what John Bolton's supposed to say. Wait, he didn't go after Jamie Raskin. Is that what Is that what his defense would be? Well, he didn't go after Jamie Raskin. This is insane. This guy is just he's making the world a dumber place.
government business with personal money-making business and so on. I mean, he wrote a whole book saying if Trump were to be elected again, the second term would be far worse than the first term. And so there's no doubt that revenge is being exacted against him for those kinds of statements.
Well, you see,
No question. No question. This is not real crime. There's more from Jamie Raskin. Such a doofus.
Seems to confirm Bolton's own prediction that if Donald Trump got back into office, his administration would be consumed with vengeance and retribution against his perceived political enemies. And it seems as if perhaps the president was not pleased with what Bolton was saying during the course of the big summit with Vladimir Putin here in the United States in Alaska. And he was reminding everybody that Vladimir Putin had one goal, which was to capture Ukraine and reabsorb it into the newly reconstituted Russian Empire. So obviously that got on Donald Trump's nerves, and I think we can see the result of it here.
You have thoughts about his comment there?
What?
What do you mean, what? I thought it was crystal clear.
Putin's trying to capture all of Ukraine and absorb it into the
all of Ukraine. Where you don't see evidence? You disagree with that assessment?
Yeah, really a lot. Like, I don't know.
Quick aside, anyone else knows that Joshua Johnson of Bricks and Minifigs coincidentally looks like a 1x1 Lego piece? Just putting that out there. What?
No, they wouldn't. I would just say they wouldn't have to go after Trump's perceived opponents or enemies if they would stop breaking the fucking law.
Yeah, that would change things a little bit.
You know, just to own Trump, like they keep breaking the law to try to get over on him or do shit. Like all the stuff that these people have done to break the law, it was all done in an effort to go after Trump, to hurt him. That's so what you're supposed to just let it go. Go, well, I can't go after him for breaking that law because they did it to get me.
Yeah, it begs you to basically take the position of saying, if I swallow everything the left is telling me, then this makes sense too. But these are not arguments that will any longer certainly resonate with folks. That's what makes this I think very significant. Here's another. This is John Bolton. More from John Bolton that I have here from him when Trump was indicted.
Read the indictment, which I don't think many people have done. It's really a masterful piece of work. And
masterful. I read that indictment. It was far from masterful. And in case you don't know the ending of this story, the entire indictment was tossed. That masterful indictment.
My view, it is devastating. And
now, to be complete intellectual integrity here, it wasn't tossed because of a failure of the indictment in the way it was worded. It was because Jack Smith had no more authority to prosecute him than Jim Sotelo would have, or John Bolton would have to prosecute Trump, because he wasn't a U.S. attorney.
And it really should be the end of Trump's
he wasn't a special prosecutor.
Political career, let alone the beginning of his jail time.
He just let the cat out of the bag right there. That was that word right there. This should be the end of Trump's political career. That was the whole point of all of it, was to try and end his political career. So that's what you call retribution, whatever, selective prosecution, targeting.
Instant karma. That's what this is. Not so instant. We'll just call it karma. But yeah, this is real karma. This guy's whole life is over.
People will see this behavior by Trump was a serious threat to national security. Read the
serious threat to national security. Here's another knucklehead. You hear the distinction between him talking about Trump being indicted versus the Bolton indictment.
MAGA and Trump guys are always going to cry. They cry by nature. If you say hi to them, like, you say Merry Christmas. Right. So just ignore them. Just do your goddamn job. And the reason why, overall, again, I'm happy that it went to this guy is because this guy's a super serious prosecutor.
He's talking about Jack Smith. Super serious prosecutor.
Seems like a very serious prosecutor. And so a neutral, impartial, everybody attests to it for whatever it's worth. The documents case,
That's not true either.
the easiest case in the whole wide world. If Jack Smith can't get that done, that means that's it. There's no prosecutor in America that has any kind of testicular
Maybe someone who's actually appointed.
fortitude. None, zero. Look, if you're MAGA, at some point you got to make up your mind, right? So, oh my God, I can't believe you'd go in and see if you could find classified documents by raiding someone's home like Mar-a-Lago. And now you switch to, it's awesome when you raid someone's home to see if you could find classified documents from a government official. So which one is it? It's just, come on. But as we all know, some folks are hopeless. They're blinded by certain things and they can't see straight. When you have an enemies list.
Is he talking about himself? Because he's acting like any government employee is the same as the president.
It's confession through projection.
And then you try to find a crime to get that political enemy.
Find a crime. Try and find the crime. That's what he's describing with John Bolton. He's not talking about the invented crimes in New York that they managed to secure 34 convictions of. He's not talking about the retarded theories that they put together to come after him from Mar-a-Lago or the ridiculous case that came out of Georgia or DC. No. This is trying to find the crime against Bolton, which he ends up actually pleading guilty to.
Well, that's just the worst thing you could do. I mean, that's a total frontal attack on our democracy and our constitutional system. It's not
frontal attack on our democracy.
About John Bolton's policies, which we can't stand. It's not about John Bolton as a person that we can't stand. It's about whether we're going to protect his rights. And we have to protect his rights. Otherwise, we're taking away everyone else's rights.
That's all they care about. They have to protect his rights. It's unbelievable.
I saw a very interesting video with Chunk Yogurt the other day where he announces that because when they were talking about first cousin marriage. Did you see it?
No.
Yeah, he's like, these people think that there's nobody with first cousins marriage, but I'll have you know that my grandparents were first cousins. And people are like, that explains a lot.
His grandparents are first cousins?
That's what he said.
Wow.
Because they were talking about passing a law to make it illegal, make it illegal. And they're like, you can't do it because, there's different communities. That's normal. I guess Islamo commies, it's normal to marry your first cousin.
Yeah. I got a little bit more. I've got a little bit more of spot the difference. I got a handful more of these spot the differences, like the difference between various reporters reported on Trump Mar-a-Lago versus John Bolton. But yeah, I'm not remotely surprised that guy's cousins. I'm surprised that his grandparents aren't siblings.
So he sees this as an opportunity to again portray himself.
See if you could spot the difference. Which one is Mar-a-Lago and which one is John Bolton?
As the victim. This is classic Donald Trump. He spent most of his presidency portraying himself as a victim of the Russia investigation, certainly his impeachments. And now he's portraying himself as a victim of a runaway and politicized Department of Justice.
In a moment, we'll get to the stunning developments coming into the weekend with FBI agents swarming around the home and office of former Trump National Security Advisor John Bolton. But first, the context. This didn't happen in a vacuum. John Bolton is on a long list of Trump critics who are now facing the wrath of President Trump and his Justice Department.
So he sees this.
So it feels like a little bit of a different vibe there from John Carl. It's really unbelievable. When John Bolton was indicted last October, he compared Trump to Stalin and said he was the latest target in weaponizing the DOJ to charge that he deems his enemies. And today he pleads guilty. Now I've become the latest target in weaponizing the Justice Department to charge those he deems to be his enemies with charges that were declined before or distort the facts. My book was reviewed and approved by the appropriate experienced career clearance officials. When my email was hacked in 2021, the FBI was made fully aware. Why is there stuff in your email? That's the problem, idiots. In 4 years of the prior administration after these reviews, no charges were ever filed. Yeah, because they looked at you as That's not the fact that Biden didn't go after you is an indictment on Biden. That's not something saying that you're kosher. It just shows you how corrupt the Biden DOJ was.
I wonder if it was kind of the same thing like what they did with Biden did with the SPLC, where they went into the SPLC and said, yes, you got to stop doing this and we're not going to do anything, close the case. And the SPLC said, we're stopping paying these people to do this shit. And they were hoping maybe that someone else would get elected and they would be able to bypass the statute of limitations. And lo and behold, Trump was elected. Like, wait, you did what? No. They broke the law. They're going down.
None of them foresaw the 2024 election. None of them. They all missed. Just like, I don't think any of them even deemed it like as a possibility that this could happen eventually. I don't think that any of them thought this. Then came Trump 2, who embodies what Joseph Stalin's head of secret police once said, you show me the man, I'll show you the crime. Well, no, now it's you show me the man, I'll show you the guy pleading guilty. So.
I mean, he's admitting that he had classified documents in his fucking emails, and he went and reported them to the Biden administration. Says, yeah, the Iranians hacked my emails. I had classified stuff in my emails. He should have been arrested right then and there. Like, that did put America in danger. His putting classified stuff on servers that aren't classified settings caused the Iranians to be able to get that material.
That's why you're not allowed to have him there. So he's like, oh, I was such a hero that I reported the hack immediately. Dude, why do you have stuff there that they're looking to hack? You shouldn't have anything like that. Why are you having anything there that would require you reporting it to Iran? I mean, you're reporting it to the intelligence community that you were hacked. Let's put it this way. Think about this for a second. Jim and all of you watching, just think about this for a second. Imagine your email was hacked. Okay? Terrible scenario. Your email was hacked. Would you ever think for a moment that you need to report this to the intelligence community so that they can keep themselves safe? No, you wouldn't even think for a second of doing that, because there's nothing on yours, there's nothing that they hacked which has any sort of potential sensitivity towards our national defense. You have nothing there. So too it should be for everyone who works for our Defense Department, that they have nothing there that if they were hacked would endanger America or American lives. That's the way our system is set up to function. And yet John Bolton, as soon as he's hacked, he's like, oh my God, Iran knows our national defense. What the hell is that? That's what makes it a crime, having it on your having it in your email. That's why it's a crime. Not so you could say, oops. No. Here's CNN weighing in on today's events.
And Jamie, from the very beginning, we've been cautioned by legal experts that this case against Bolton was different than the ones in which it looked like Trump was just going or having people.
See, now they need to pivot. Mm-hmm. Now they need, let's just forget about what Aaron Burnett told you before from CNN. Forget about what we told you as part of CNN before about how this was just a persecution, more persecutions, Comey, Tish James, Bolton. Now he's pleading guilty. So Jake Tapper has to come in here and say, whoa. We told you all along that Bolton was different. When was that? Where was that? These are very serious charges. This is very, very different. They're so desperate to gaslight, as if they didn't tell you that this is exactly the same type of persecution as the other cases, because they see what they're trying to cut off the very argument that I've been making throughout this show, which is that this confession, this guilty plea from John Bolton, helps cement that the Trump DOJ is actually prosecuting crimes. And that when they're going after Bolton, they're going after Comey, they're going after Tish James or Adam Schiff or any of these people, it's because they're going after criminals, evil, terrible criminals. But CNN lumped them all together before, so now we're getting gaslighting from CNN that, oh yeah, we told you the John Bolton claims were legit. Those are legit claims.
the ones in which it looked like Trump was just going, or having people, or people were just taking it upon themselves to go after his political foes, like Letitia James or James Comey.
Right. I think that's fair to say. On the other hand, as we like to say, two things can be true at the same time. So
that those people also broke the law, documents, and it's pretty much cut and dry that they broke the law. That what they mean?
Likely.
Charges, absolutely. We wouldn't have a plea deal today if they weren't. That said,
wait, what did you say here?
Ignore. Yes, were these serious charges? Absolutely. We wouldn't have a plea deal today if they weren't. That said, you cannot ignore the politics or the fact that John Bolton became a fierce critic of Donald Trump, and Donald Trump wanted him prosecuted. He said it publicly. He also called Bolton, quote, a low-life dummy and warmongering fool. So yes, these are serious charges.
Was there a lie there somewhere I didn't catch?
Two things can be true at the same time. He could be a low-life dummy, warmongering fool, and also be a criminal. Those two things can be true at the same time.
But it underscores again that Donald Trump will use his DOJ.
How does it underscore that at all? Just the opposite. You airheaded, ditzy loser. How the heck can you possibly, how in any way does this underscore that he's using his DOJ when this guy's pleading guilty? Why doesn't he just plead not guilty, go in there and beat these frivolous charges?
To settle scores.
You're such a lie. It's like gaslight lie, gaslight lie, gaslight lie. I don't even know who this Jill Biden lookalike wannabe is. I have no idea what her name is, but just how retarded is this? You're calling it serious charges, and now you're pretending that when he's pleading guilty, this is Trump's. You're still trying to say. First, you start off gaslighting and saying, we told you this case was different, and that, it wasn't just about settling scores. And then you say, oh, these were serious charges, and the only reason they were brought is because Trump is trying to settle scores.
Well, that's what you're saying. It's like, it's been like a long time practice in Washington that once you get to certain positions of power, you're untouchable. You are above the law. Nobody goes after you.
Apparently.
And so this is wrong, but see, they fail to realize that they they did this when they tried to target Trump. So now he's like, okay, if we're going to go after people that broke the law, no matter who they are, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he probably regrets now he should have went after Hillary Clinton.
Anyway.
Maybe.
So he should have gone after Hillary Clinton. It was terrible. It was really, really terrible. I'm very bothered by the fact that we let Hillary go, because that woman was corrupt as hell. Really, really corrupt. Anyway, so now I'm wrapping up the Tulsi. I'm wrapping up the John Bolton story, and that gives you all. That's that. But the reason it's significant is because it's not just about John Bolton. This helps solidify the Trump DOJ that they're not simply trying to persecute, but they're actually prosecuting. Not for me, not for the loonies on the left, but for the majority of Americans out there who really, are paying cursory attention to this. You wanted to tell me about Tulsi Gabbard.
Just that was announced. I was just say it's like that her husband had a surgery. It was completely successful. Supposedly, he's going to make a full recovery. So maybe she's going to come back then.
She is the one who announced it.
Yeah.
She's the one who announced it. I actually saw her announcement, and it made me search Grok to find out, because we didn't really know what the nature of his cancer or what he was dealing with until today, when she explained that he has
sacral. So it was like a tailbone.
I think it's pelvic. I don't know, pelvic region type of thing. I'm not obviously a doctor, nor do I dispense medical advice on this channel. But what she said was this right here. My husband Abraham was diagnosed with a very rare sacral chordoma. The surgery to remove bone and surrounding tissue lasted almost 7 hours and was successful. Thank God for that. He had a rough night and is in a lot of pain, but is finally home resting. Now recovery begins. We're so grateful for the outpouring of prayers and kind messages from all of you. Our hearts are full. So that's her report. Now that makes you ask, what is, and the first thought I had is, wait, she hasn't even left yet. She's still there till June 30th. What is still left for her to do? Which is why I asked Grok, and I'll re-ask it. Please describe. And you'll see that the treatment regimen is pretty extensive.
Oh, okay. So it's not like you're all good then?
Sacral chordoma treatment after successful en bloc resection typically focuses on recovery from surgery, adjuvant radiation therapy to reduce recurrence risk, long-term surveillance, and management of potential functional impacts. Immediate post-surgery is everyone's now home after a difficult first night, which is common due to pain, surgical trauma, and possible nerve involvement in sacral procedures. Recovery often involves pain management, wound care, physical therapy, rehabilitation for mobility, and monitoring for issues like infection, bleeding, or bowel bladder changes. Many patients need rehab therapy to address mobility, strength, and neurological effects. Sacral tumors, surgery can affect bowel, bladder, etc. It's standard after surgery for sacral chordoma, even with successful en bloc resection, to target any microscopic residual cells and improve local control. It's often recommended post-operatively in a sandwich operation, high-dose proton beam therapy. The timing often starts several weeks after surgery. Chemotherapy is not routinely used at first for standard chordoma. Long-term management, follow-up, you need regular MRIs, often every 6 months initially. But then there's also, as far as, they basically were saying that he's going to need physical therapy and that type of work for it says, how long will he be dealing with physical therapy in a normal case?
In a typical case like this, physical therapy and rehab often start right after surgery, sometimes even inpatient. Many patients need it for months, and in more involved sacral cases, it can stretch to a year or longer, depending on nerve involvement in mobility or bowel bladder issues. Every recovery is different, though.
So there you go. You're talking about a very lengthy road that's likely ahead for him. So I don't know that she's going to be just cutting out on him, at the end of this, for a few, after a few weeks of him recovering, because I think this is going to take a while. But anyhow, but good news for him, and we all pray that he has complete
when the initial
recovery.
announcement came out about her leaving because of it, I thought it was like
multiple surgeries.
Yeah, like
over a
it'll be
long
like his
period
whole
of
thing.
time.
It'll be all the stuff, and just and then maybe he's not gonna. She wants to spend in case he's not gonna make it, because from what I was reading, it's, the bone cancer, it moves fast, and it can really can be gone in a year if it they can't get rid of it. It's like a year or two, they're gone, and so you spend time with them. Don't want to be wasting stuff, but successful, maybe she'll be like, well, I can. Physical therapy is like a couple hours a day. I can do my job.
I was saying the same thing. In which case, when I initially asked questions to Grok this morning, when I saw that post from her, I was thinking maybe she really did leave because she's trying to shy away from the Trump administration, and she was using this as a cover story. See what I'm saying? In other words, if you know that it's going to be like one surgery that's going to last 7 hours, and then he's going to basically be done with this 6 weeks from now. So
I don't think they knew that. That's what I'm saying. The doctors, there's no way they said, it's going to be real quick. They're probably they don't know till they go in, they look, they got to see if they can get it all, what other things are going to be.
Right. But what I'm saying is, why wouldn't you wait until he has this surgery and then see maybe he'll be back on his feet in a month and a half? In which case, if I'm leaving in 6 weeks, why am I leaving? So that's why I was like, if he's gonna be totally fine by the end of July, why would she be leaving June 30th? That doesn't seem to make any sense. So, or you could wait and see, maybe he'll have a successful surgery and he'll be fine, by the middle of summer. In which case, why are you leaving? And but then when I saw the level of therapy that's involved here, I was like, okay, I get that she's basically you can't conclude definitively that she's trying to shy away from the Trump administration. She still might be. It's very possible she's trying to shy away from Trump and branch off on her own. But you definitely cannot conclude that based on what we know as of June 4, 2026. That was the point that I was getting at. Philip Coggins, if I did what John Bolton did with classified info I used to handle, I'd be busting rocks in Leavenworth until the day I died. Yep, this is true. Bolton is one man. SPLC is an organization, far better. Well, we need to get after the SPLC, 100%. Was John Bolton's email address not a spy dropped on Proton Mail? Charles, member for 2 years. Happy anniversary. 24 months. Look at you, Charles. God bless you, brother. Good to see you. And JH coming in. Joe Dog. I told you the other night Tulsi is running for president. She needs to distance herself from Trump. After the midterm, she's going to start her campaign. I think that there's at least a 50-50 shot that this is correct. I think there's a very, very high chance. Most people, I've been seeing stuff, recently I've been seeing stuff about Tucker running for president. Tucker's not running for president, nor would he have any chance if he did. But, that Tucker running for president, or, all the people who are bummed about Massey are basically saying Tucker should run for president and pick up Marjorie Taylor Greene as his vice president.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'll work.
That's totally going to work. It's a great plan. It's a great plan because,
I could see Tulsi as a VP for Marco or even JD.
Yeah, I could see that. Although I don't know, because look, I'm not looking to bash Tulsi. Okay. And I respect Tulsi because I think that she actually has political views and some level of integrity of sticking to those views, even if I don't always agree with her views. So I can respect that. I think that she's genuine. I think there's a certain genuineness to her, and that most people see her as someone who's relatively genuine and to a surprising degree of genuineness compared to most politicians. Most people have been in politics for 10 years. You would think of them, yeah, I've seen this person lie over and over again. You probably can't think of many examples of where she lied. However, there is a lot of questions about her competence. And I don't mean her competence as far as her intellect. I mean her competence as far as the people she chose around her. She had Joe Kent that she basically, brought up around her. There's all sorts of questions as far as whether there was leaking from her office, which, if
how much do you think she knew about Joe Kent? She probably, what I'm saying? Like Joe Kent, they didn't run in the same circles really.
She's the one who promoted him. He worked for her. And like when she got a promotion to national intelligence, he had worked for her. And when she came to national intelligence, she gave him promotion.
Where did she work? Where did he work for her for?
I looked into this when someone brought this up like a week or two ago.
All I know about him is he ran 2 or 3 times for Congress and lost each time in Washington or Oregon or something.
Yeah. As I recall, there was multiple times that Joe Kent worked for Tulsi Gabbard, and I'm going to ask Rock to lay out the career chart as far as whether or not Tulsi is the one who promoted him and brought him along to give him the levels of access to confidential information that he was able to access based on her promotion to Director of National Intelligence. So can you walk us through that, Rock?
No, that's not how it went. Joe Kent's high-level clearances and access to confidential information came way before Tulsi Gabbard was DNI. He spent 20 years in the Army as a Green Beret and Special Forces operator with 11 combat deployments, then became a CIA paramilitary officer after retiring in 2018. Those roles gave him top secret and special access program clearances years earlier. Tulsi didn't promote him into intelligence work. She hired him in early 2025 as her chief of staff at the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, right after Trump nominated her. From there, she supported his nomination to run the National Counterterrorism Center, which he led starting summer 2025. So she did elevate him within the Trump administration, but she didn't bring him along from the beginning or give him his foundational access.
Fine.
They had mutual political support before that. She endorsed his congressional runs, but his career in special ops in the CIA is what got him into the classified world, not Tulsi.
That's kind of what I thought, but didn't express well enough for Grok that Grok felt the need to correct me. So yeah, you see that she basically brought him up, once after he was from the ODNI, that she basically supported his nomination to run for the National Counterterrorism Center. She's the one who got him there. So there is some sort of accountability for whatever leaks are coming from his office, enough so that supposedly she and her office were cut out of the loop about certain national intelligence issues because they were afraid of leaks coming from her or Joe Kent. That's how intimately they were working with each other.
I thought he was involved in like the Trump campaign. I thought he was involved, like he was a MAGA guy and stuff. That's what he ran as Congress as. I don't know. I thought he was like.
Yeah, but it basically says, that she was the one who she supported his nomination to run the National Counterterrorism Center. And, so she did elevate him within the Trump administration. That was the point I was getting to. Anyway. So, look, the important news for today is we're happy that Abraham had a successful surgery. We don't really know much more than we knew yesterday about Tulsi's, whether she's distancing herself or not. But I do think that what JH points out here it's a logical conclusion. It's very credible to believe that she sees herself as a potential presidential candidate in 2028. She certainly has a lot more. She has a lot more basis to believe that she has presidential aspirations in as soon as 2 years from now than a Tucker Carlson. So, distancing herself from Trump without bashing Trump is a very clean road for her to do that. In other words, if she stays in the Trump orbit and the Trump orbit starts to solidify around J.D. Vance as the nominee of choice, and then she decides to say, no, I'm going to run, that at that point, it becomes her being a turncoat. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, the whole base is all rallying around J.D. Vance, and here you come along thinking that you should be the presidential candidate. So that would be something that she might paint her in a negative light in the MAGA world. But if she gets out of the MAGA world now, and she's not part of the Trump administration per se, and now she goes off on her own and she's doing the wifely thing of taking care of her husband after she was running the national intelligence for the Trump administration. It leaves a positive taste for the most part in the minds of most of MAGA, so she can feel like there's a decent chance that she might be able to garner their support in a Republican primary against J.D. Vance, especially if there are some failures that are displayed by the Trump administration, if there are setbacks, if the Iran war goes on for a while, if gas prices remain high, if there's a general dissatisfaction with the way the country is going a year and a half from now, then you might see a bunch of folks say, you know what, we're not really happy with Trump world. We're not happy with Trump and by extension, J.D. Vance. Let's look somewhere else. And that Tulsi Gabbard becomes someone who's a viable option. So I can definitely, there's a lot of logic to say that the reason she's stepping aside now, and particularly the nature of what she's doing, because this is something that she's shown for the most people are not going to hyper focus on the Joe Kent connection and leaking and stuff like that. Most of you likely have a positive feeling about Tulsi Gabbard, and that's what she wants. And I'm not looking here to rain on that. I'm simply saying she likes having that, and that is potentially very valuable to her. And no one's going to hold against her. If anything, they might look at it as a credit to her, and probably should look at it as a credit to her that she's putting family first, stepping aside from politics, and taking care of her husband. And I think a lot of you and I can say, you know what, mad props to you for that. Respect that, your priorities are healthy, your priorities are in order, you're taking care of your family first, but that you've shown, that you've achieved certain levels of accomplishment and done it under Donald Trump, and also whatever negativity flows from the Iran war is not going to be held against, is much less likely to be held against her. So this is in many ways, if she's looking to run in 2028, an opportune time for her and an opportunity for her to step out and retain goodwill while only building her gravitas by being a loving wife to her husband. Make sense?
Yeah. And she just doesn't seem like what's the word I'm looking for? She doesn't give off that greasy, slimy used car salesman vibe that the other people that, you know what I mean? That's all. She doesn't. She seems.
So you're saying because of that you think she doesn't want to have aspire to be president?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, I don't think she's plotting this all out like that.
I don't know. Look, I'm not even saying it in a negative way. It's a matter of just sort of looking ahead at your political career arc.
That's pretty slimy to use your husband's cancer as a way to get out of this because you want to run for president, and this is the way. That's some shit. That would just make her a scummy Democrat.
I don't know about that. Because she's taking like a situation that is actually out there in life, and basically, I don't look at it as being slimy. I mean, I don't look at it as being manipulative. I think that's what you're trying to label it, right? You're saying she's
yeah, it would definitely be manipulative if you're like, well, I got to get away from the Trump administration before I get the dirt, before the stink gets on me of what he's doing. Oh, my husband's cancer. I'm going to, is that just a coincidence? I mean,
I don't think she gave her husband cancer. So
no, but I'm saying, like,
a coincidence.
We even know maybe her husband doesn't have cancer. Then maybe this is all a lie.
I would never accuse that at all. That if in fact, I will say this, if in fact she manufactured this disease and there was indeed no such disease, then she's scum. Okay, that's a scummy thing to do. Anyone who's willing to manufacture and pretend that they or a close family relative has such a serious disease, especially someone who's in the public light, and they know that you're going to have genuine sympathy and people caring and concerned about you and or your loved one, probably both of you, and while you're going through this trying times, that is scum. That's someone who's human scum. So I don't think she is human scum. I don't think she is at all. I just think that this sort of is the planet potentially aligning properly for her as far as how it can help engender a healthy political run for president.
So you're saying we're living in a matrix?
I'm not saying we're living in a matrix. No, I think God orchestrates everything.
Oh, okay. So she's God's chosen person to be president?
No, I don't know that she's going to become president, but I can see how. So look, you don't reach the level of success that Tulsi Gabbard or anyone in the Trump orbit whose name you do not get there without looking ahead as to what steps you can take in order to put yourself in a position to attain that level of significance in the political arena. No one does. Every person who's going to get there, they sort of have to like plan ahead, like, okay, and then how would I deal with this situation? What will I do here? And how will they sort of have to continually reassess that. You're portraying it as if it's manipulative, and I respectfully disagree. I mean, maybe that's a reflection on you having a purer soul than mine. I don't know. Could be. But I'm just saying, like, that's just what people do.
I'm not saying, okay, or maybe I'm not saying that I think she manipulated anything. I'm saying if you're saying, like, this whole thing was plotted out and planned like this, that would be manipulative. I don't see her as that type of person. I never did.
No, so let's make sure we're on the same page here. What I'm saying is when you see a situation unfolding and then you try and assess, okay, given this, how will this, affect what happens to me and my family in the future? And I'm saying is, I think that she worked hard to become a congresswoman. She worked hard to remain popular with the public. She worked hard to become director of national intelligence, right? And all the different steps. We know she wanted to be president. She ran for the Democratic presidential nomination. So we know she has presidential aspirations.
I don't know. I think we're just talking past each other. Maybe we're arguing different things. I
don't know whether we are or not. I'm simply saying maybe the audience is able to read where we're disconnecting here. What I'm saying is, so if someone who's in that position, if you're trying to orchestrate events so that you look like a good person and using your family members' thing, I think that's how you think you're taking what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this is what's unfolded. And politically, it makes sense for her to do this. And so it could two things be true at the same time, okay? That it's politically advantageous for her to step away, and it's a proper, healthy thing for her to do as far as being a loving, supporting wife for her to step away. Those two things can both be true at the same time. So I don't fault her for that. I wouldn't fault her for that. I'm simply saying this would play well for her politically. And I'm sure she's aware of that. But that doesn't mean that's the motivation for a decision anymore. And it likely, given what we know about the nature of her relationship with her husband, we see all these videos of them singing together and looking like a very happy, loving couple, that indeed, that if she had nothing to do with politics, whatever, if she was working as a CEO for Wells Fargo, that she would have left there and gone to help her husband. You see what I'm saying? Like, and so, but that doesn't mean she's ignorant to the fact that from a political perspective, the timing on this works out well for her. And not being ignorant, and just being aware of that doesn't turn it into an evil thing. That's my point.
Was it like the Rahm Emanuel School of Politics? Never let a crisis go to waste?
No, because if she only did this, let's assume for a moment that Abraham didn't need her at all, right? Let's assume that Abraham was like, no, you stay there as DNI. I want you to stay there as DNI, right? I don't want you to leave. She's like, no, it's better for me to leave and help you. Then that's manipulative. See what I'm saying? Because then she's like trying to manipulate the situation, or it also engenders some sort of sympathy feelings that people feel bad for her because you have the continual reminders, oh, she's gone now from public life because she's helping her husband. So in that sense, you know, it's politically advantageous to her. But if her motivation was political advantage rather than her primary motivation being, I want to take care of my husband, then I can understand what you're saying. That's manipulative. If in fact her primary motivation is taking care of her husband and there's a side benefit that it helps her politically, in that case, I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all.
Okay. So
and we'll never know. And we'll never know.
Well, we kind of might know, because if she's saying the reason she's leaving on June 30th is because she's got this whole, like, she's not going to come back. She's leaving because she's got this, her husband's got this massive, recovery time. It's going to take, he's got this stuff that's going to take a year for recovery and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden in November, after the midterm, she announces her run for president. That would kind of mean that wasn't true, right? Maybe.
She's saying if she does that, I don't think she'll do that in November.
Well, that's what J.H. Swalback, that's what I was operating off of, his premise that after the midterms. After the
midterms doesn't mean 10 minutes after the midterms. She can do that in February of next year. So now he's had, 8 months to recover. And she announces her candidacy.
I guess time will tell.
Yeah. I think there's a very good chance. I'm not saying she's going to win. I'm just saying there's a very good chance she'll run. And if she does run, I think she'll do fairly well compared to most. I think she'll be a formidable
in the Republican
candidate.
Party.
In the Republican Party.
Okay.
Now, in the primary, she's going to get hit in the fact that she's a former Democrat. And that, they'll call her a RINO, which is a silly label to give her. They will call her a RINO. They'll hit her on the fact that she's not as pro-2A as everyone wants. Some of them might try to hit on the whole fact that there were leaks coming out of her office and she was untrustworthy in that capacity. And that's what you would expect her opponents to be hitting her with. And it probably would get ugly in theory between her and J.D. Vance. If J.D. Vance is running, we all assume he's going to be the front runner for this. I don't know if RFK is going to run or not. No one knows what's going to happen in 28. But
right now, I would say Rubio's the front runner.
You think Rubio more than J.D. Vance?
Yeah, he's got more public stuff.
Interesting. Now, that'd be an interesting thing to see between Rubio
Richard
and
Parker. I don't really know what your problem is, but if you want to keep making personal insults again, I don't know what your deal is. So just
let's not.
I mean, you called me retarded. You call me saying I don't have a brain. I'm stupid. I'm having a discussion with somebody I consider a friend. It's an honest discussion.
It is.
Trying to figure where he's coming from, where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
You're acting like a 3-year-old.
I'm so glad about this. You had my family eye in tears laughing on the manifesto mention. You nailed it. Hello, Jim. I'm so glad. Good. I was hoping that you would be satisfied with the what should I call it? I yesterday when he sent me $100 super chat. In case you missed yesterday's show, which if so, shame on you. He sent me $100 super chat and he asked me to mention in the in my manifesto how I get pestered by these cheap $20 super chats from Daniel Weimer. And so I went off about how he's like basically a diamond Jim and peeling off $100 bills. But when it comes to like giving me super chats, he's like, here, Joe, here's 20, clap for me, bark for me, Joe, bark for me, Joe. I don't know if I said bark for me, but that would have been funnier actually. But that he was basically being a cheapskate with me. So, which is what he asked me to do. So I did. Congress broke with Trump to give Ukraine more aid. That is true. The vote passed, I believe, off the top of my head, 218 to 215 in favor of giving the money to Ukraine. Trump doesn't have to sign it.
Does the Senate already vote on this, or no?
No, I don't think they voted on it yet either. I imagine it'll probably pass the Senate because they're all scum.
And this is what I hate about inner workings of politics, because this type of stuff is where they'll horse trade with Trump and say, oh, well, because there was also a vote today, the Senate shot down the Democrats trying to say Trump can't do the weaponization fund, and the Republicans blocked it. So maybe this is going to be a horse trade type of thing. I don't know. And it's all money we don't have anyway.
It wouldn't surprise me if we see that. That's exactly the nature of horse trading we see go on in Congress all the time. All the time. J.H. Hallbeck says, Joe, no, Joe, no. This is Tulsi's witchery. She found a way to make people think I'm not a loony lefty and not a crazy right hooked on the Trump campaign. She's the next Indian Barack Obama. Maybe. That's a pretty astute call.
Barack Obama was a used car salesman, slimy person.
I can't really prove that's wrong, what he just said there. Hans Wumpeck says, Tulsi husband name is Abraham. Is he Jewish? Will Tucker and all the crazy Jew haters use this against her? I don't know that he is Jewish. He looks a little Semitic to me. His last name, I don't recall it. I remember hearing his last name and thinking it's not. I thought the same thing because Abraham is kind of a Jewish name. Let's ask Grok. Why not? Is her husband Jewish, Grok? Grok, are you there? Try that again. Is her husband Jewish?
No, Tulsi Gabbard's husband, Abraham Williams, is not Jewish. He was raised in a Hindu spiritual tradition, specifically connected to the Science of Identity Foundation, an offshoot of the Hare Krishna movement. They married in a traditional Vedic Hindu ceremony in 2015, and both practice Hinduism. His background is New Zealander American with European, Maori, and Samoan ancestry.
There are few religions as anti-Jewish that Judaism gets really angry about, like Hinduism.
Really? Oh, because of the multi-gods?
Yeah. That stuff is just, it's evil. It's really, really evil. So yeah, very, very not Jewish.
And the Hare Krishnas, those were the people that used to go at the airports, like with the bald head, and they'd be like, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. I mean, I only
had the flowers.
They
had the flowers. Yeah, Hare Krishna. Yeah, so I guess not Jewish. I guess not Jewish. What are you fighting with Richard Parker? What do you?
I don't know. He just all the whole show ever since
he's been
just been like
Don't
just
let-
like a little dog.
Don't let that get to you. Don't let that get
doesn't
to
get
you.
to me. It's just like I don't know.
And if you respond, that means it means it's getting to you too much. So you can just. All right, you disagree with me. You disagree with me. Don't let it get to you. Joe, my Joe, Tulsi Gabbard approached Roger Stone, take her campaign objectives forward, and this is the plan he told her to take. Google it. There's a plan. I prefer talking to Grok than Googling, right? So it's just easier.
I feel bad. I completely derailed the show about Tulsi Gabbard when we got so much other stuff.
No, it's fine. This is it's an interesting and important conversation. So it's you don't have to apologize at all. If anything, that's the natural, healthy flow of the show. I'm totally cool with that. All right, so let's ask Rock here. One of my viewers is saying that Tulsi Gabbard approached Roger Stone to take her campaign objectives forward to become the next president. And he claims that there's a plan that she has in order to become the next president. Is there such a plan that you can find?
There's no solid evidence of a specific plan where Tulsi approached Roger Stone to advance her presidential ambitions. Roger Stone has publicly praised her, said he believes she'll be president someday, and claims he helped get her appointed as DNI. But the claim that she went to him first to push her campaign objectives appears to be speculation, mostly coming from critics like Laura Loomer.
Laura Loomer, that's to say that came from Laura Loomer, and I think Stone shot it down.
Which some see as laying groundwork for a future run, possibly 2028. Stone has defended her recently, including intervening when Trump was reportedly upset with her. He says he has no financial stake in her campaign and would likely back J.D. Vance in 2028. It's mostly political chatter and positioning right now, not a confirmed secret plan. If your viewer has a specific source for that claim, I'd love to check it out.
Well,
if I remember correctly, Joe, that came from Laura Loomer, and Roger Stone came out.
Maybe when he said JHS, he's referring to Schwalbach, not you.
Who knows?
Because how would he know your middle initial is H?
I don't know.
Is your middle initial H?
Yes, Howard.
Really?
Yeah.
So you, me, and Schwalbach both have a middle initial H.
Sure.
All three of us, both. Well, yeah, there you go. I don't think he knew your middle initial was H. So I'm assuming he was fighting with J.H. Schwalbach. Otherwise, he would have just said Jim, right?
I don't know.
I don't know. Rubio's doing so well because he's been given a task and a purpose. It's very different when it's open sea ahead of you and you're at the helm. I agree with you 100%. I don't know that I would trust him. I like him, what he's done a lot. Very impressed with what he's done. That doesn't mean I would vote for him for president. Yeah, I agree with you. I like that he's under Trump and Trump is telling him do this, and he knows that if he wants to retain his goodwill and his political gravitas, that he's got to, make Trump happy. So, don't you think Ron DeSantis will run again? Very possibly, very possibly. Really good chance. I don't think he's going to get anywhere. You think he will?
It's possible if he comes into the Trump administration and does well. He will. And I thought they were holding open the attorney general spot for him. That's what I thought was happening.
Until today, when you're saying that that Todd Blanche was nominated. I don't think he's going to pass. I don't think he's going to pass nomination. I don't know. It'd be close. And the reason I don't think he will pass nomination now is because I think that we have such a slim majority in the Senate, and there are so many senators who are furious with Trump for ending their political career, or in general because they're stupid RINO lefties. Mitch McConnell hates Trump. Murkowski is an ultimate fail. Susan Collins may her political career go down in flames. Thom Tillis, Bill Cassidy, Bill Cornyn, all these people are mad at Trump. And one way they can take it out on him is basically saying, you want your former attorney to now be the attorney general? No. He's deputy attorney general. He's going to stay in that role. We're not giving him a promotion. In which case, they're much more likely to be agreeable to a Ron DeSantis. So even if he's nominating him, that doesn't mean that Todd Blanche is going to make it. I would almost expect that I'd be surprised at this point if Todd Blanche gets.
I don't think he could get through because of the stuff that with the whole weaponization fund and this other stuff, and he's been taking a lot of shots from even people like Kennedy and stuff like that. On what I mean, I don't know.
I don't think he's going to become attorney general. I don't think he'll get confirmed. I don't think he'll be able to get 50 senators at this point. In fact, like I said, I think Ron DeSantis has a better shot. I think he has a better shot. I hadn't thought about Ron DeSantis in that role. When does Ron DeSantis, his term ends in January?
Yeah. Well, he could step down at any time and let the lieutenant governor take over.
True. That Tulsi religion was news for me. I'm glad she's gone now. Good to see Joe. You too, Jim. Well, I think a lot. Let me ask you this: you're a Protestant?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I'm a Catholic.
You're a Catholic. Does it bother you that she married a Hindu?
I don't care.
Okay. Just wondering. Daniel Weimer, Jim, we appreciate you on the show. The amount of stories you shed light on is amazing. It's true. It's true. So many times, like, Jim is my ultimate bailout. He's awesome.
I mean, DeSantis has done a lot of great things. Like right now, they're trying to get us get rid of property taxes in Florida. It looks like they might get rid of property taxes. If they get rid of property taxes in Florida, I'll vote for that man for emperor of the world.
Yeah. All right. Well, what I wanted to talk about, which one should I go to next? Oh yeah. So I wanted to talk about the, while we're talking about Congress and what an ultimate fail they are, we should talk about what happened today and why I was just cussing at Susan Collins in particular. This was today. The Senate floated out a vote to join the Save America Act together with our next reconciliation bill. And this is how that crap went down.
Vote, the yeas are 48, the nays are 50. 3/5 of the senators duly chosen and sworn not having voted in the affirmative. The motion is not agreed to. The point of order is sustained and the amendment fails.
Now, who didn't vote? There's a bunch of people that didn't vote.
Well, actually, now what is interesting here is he actually says 3/5, meaning you didn't need a majority, you need 3/5.
The point of order is sustained and the amendment fails. Voted in the affirmative. 3/5 of the senators duly chosen and sworn not having voted in the affirmative. The motion is not agreed to. The point of order is sustained and the amendment
so they needed
failed.
60? They needed 60.
Yeah, I would have thought 50. I would have thought, you see, the way I understand it, and the Senate rules are so baffling, I would have understood this as something that, like, as long as you're getting to a vote, it's really to close the session of Congress in order to get it to that where you need 60. But once you get past 60 there, in other words, once a bill pops up, then in order to close argument on it, you need to have 60. This is what we always talk about with the Save America Act. But the actual vote on it at that point then becomes a simple majority. So the opportunity for the 60 to filibuster and stand in the way is on cloture, is on closing further debate on the topic. So at this particular point in time, perhaps this was a cloture vote. I'm not sure, but it says motion to waive the Budget Act with respect to the Graham Amendment to Section 2 of the Reconciliation Bill. So they are saying you needed 60. I thought a simple majority would have worked. But apparently you needed 60. That still doesn't change the fact that there are 4 Republican senators who voted against this.
Mr. President.
To recognize the majority leader.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that the following amendments or motions be the next in order: Hickenlooper 5501 and Kim 5545.
Yeah, no one cares about it.
My question was that who didn't vote? Did Cassidy not vote? Did Cornyn not vote? Because 2 people didn't vote.
We can find out.
Did Fetterman vote for it? You know what I mean? We don't know any of these things.
Yeah. Fetterman probably did vote for it. He almost certainly did, because look, there's 4 against. Mm-hmm. So if you have 53, right?
Yeah.
So it's only 50 against. That's with 4 of them voted. That means only 46 Democrats voted against. Because we had Thom Tillis, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, and Mitch McConnell all voted against this, which means there's only 46 Democrats who voted for it. So now
my question is, was there 2 Republicans who didn't vote because that it would have been 50-50 and Vance could have broke the tie? That was my
But that's if you don't need 3/5, obviously. Yeah. I'm gonna ask Grok if they can narrow that down for us, just because it's probably fastest that way. Grok, can you tell me?
No, there's no public evidence that Tulsi Gabbard approached Roger
Grok,
Stone.
you see that link?
to advance-
Stop talking. You see that link that I shared with you there of the X post about the vote?
Yeah, I looked at that X post you sent. It's from @MAGA Voice about the Senate rejecting the Save America Act, with 4 Republicans.
Forget
voting
about Tulsi
against it.
Gabbard for a moment. Forget about Tulsi Gabbard and Roger Stone. I'm changing topics on you, okay? So my question for you is, find out for me who did not vote today.
Senators Michael Bennet, a Democrat from Colorado, did not vote on that particular motion. Most of the other votes around this bill had either 1 or 2 absences. The 4 Republicans the X post is calling out, Tillis, Collins, Murkowski, and McConnell.
There's an open seat. I
all
forgot.
cast
There's an open
votes.
seat in Oklahoma. Mark Wayne Mullen's seat is open. So there's only
Which
one.
Democrats voted yes, if any?
None. 0 Democrats voted yes on the Save America Act in the Senate. Every single Democrat voted no, along with 4 Republicans. It was a straight party line vote on the Democratic side.
Did Fetterman vote?
Yes, he did. John Fetterman voted today. He voted no, along with every other Democrat. He's been pretty open that he supports voter ID, but doesn't like the full bill because of the extra stuff in it.
All right.
Yeah, there's an empty seat. I forgot about Mark Wayne Mullen's seat.
Right. Good call. The question that I have is, does this make you think? Because I end up reposting this, and when I reposted it, what I basically said was, Plattner for Senate. Do you think, at this point in time, no one agrees with me? Only 22 people like that. I don't care. Do you think at this point, given her stance on the Save America Act, that we should support Graham Plattner?
No, absolutely not. Here's the thing. Collins is in a state that is the people of, she's voting with the people of her state. She's not MAGA. She's never been MAGA. She's not, she's a RINO Republican, and that's who she is, and she's always been that way. But she's can win in Maine. Like she's always, like they always say they're going to take her out, and they don't. Like they said she was going to lose in 2020. If you remember, they said she was going to lose in 2020. Oh, she's getting beat by 6 points by somebody. Who the fuck knows? And she won by 13 points or 14 points.
Does that mean we should be happy about her winning?
Sometimes you take the bad. If you primaried her and got in a MAGA person, there's no way they would win in Maine. Just people in Maine are idiots. I don't know.
I thought you were going to break into the facts of life with me.
I was gonna, but I already sang that earlier today, so I can't sing it again. I have a rule. Yeah, I sung. Yeah, I can't.
You only sing that song
once a day. Once a day. I can do Ice Ice Baby, but that's only if you put something on about ice.
So what you're saying is we need to have a majority, and how does that not mean we're subject to these losers all over the place? I mean, we're subject to
we need to get more people in. Like we should, if they didn't cheat like they did in 2024 and steal those 4 Senate seats in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Arizona, and Nevada or New Mexico, Nevada. Yeah, we would have had those 4.
What good is it having Susan Collins there if we can't even get her to vote for the Save America Act? This is something 87% of all.
You got Lisa Murkowski in Alaska, a state that Trump carried by 30 points, voting against almost everything he wants.
So Lisa Murkowski, I heard her make a statement, and I shared a clip with my audience of her making this statement. And I'm not sure if I got it from you or someone else, where she basically was saying there's no way we can get this done in time in Alaska for the 2026 election. Which made me say, all right, well, let's have this in place. Let's pass it for 2028. If we can't get it for 2026, you tell me, there's too many changes with respect to registration and how you set up your voting and stuff like that, that is going to be affected by the Save America Act to get it done in time for the midterms. Well, why can't you pass it now and have it go into effect in 2028?
I mean, you know what they pulled against Dan Sullivan, right? You heard what they did to him, right? The current senator. They put, because it's ranked choice, weird shit. With weird stuff. So they found some scumbag named Dan Sullivan also to put on the ballot to run as a third party.
Oh, to run against the,
well, not as a Democrat. They got a Democrat running, but the Democrats got another candidate that they got onto the ballot. Just some guy they found named Dan Sullivan. Let's just put him on there. So we got 2 Dan Sullivans. That'll fuck everything up.
They are traitors. They are traitors, these people. It's so sickening. It is so sickening. It's so aggravating. This is the one bill that we all cared about. This is the one bill. The one thing that we wanted that was beyond Trump's individual ability to get through. That we have a long-term change to our voting system. And this is unforgivable. This is complete. What they've done here with Mitch McConnell, Murkowski, Collins, and Tillis, and frankly, and John Thune is first and foremost for not stepping all over the filibuster. This is unforgivable. I'm not going to forget this ever. I am not going to forget what they did to the Save America Act. This is something that neither should you. Should never, ever, ever be forgivable. None of these scumbags should ever be forgiven for what they did.
Everyone should be fully aware. The first chance that the Democrats get when they have a majority in the Senate, if they have 50, even if they have 50 in the Senate and they have the presidency, they will abolish the filibuster. Boom. And they will pack the Supreme Court. It's done deal. There's not a single person anywhere in the Democrat Party that's against it. They kicked them out. Manchin and Sinema were the only ones against it, and they got rid of those people.
Yep. They got rid of them in part because of that.
Yep. And nobody is getting elected as a Democrat that doesn't support that.
Yep. Yep. So I cannot wait for John Thune's political career to die a very, very ugly and humiliating death. Scumballs. Yeah. So there's nothing we can do about that, though. Right? I did want to have a conversation with you, though.
And Richard actually says a good point here. This is the year to boot her because they're running a Nazi. I don't think they're going to run the Nazi. I think they're pulling a fast one. I think they didn't want to spend a bunch of money on a primary. What's her face did not cancel her campaign. Janet Mills. She already announced. She just put a tweet out. She said, "I'm still on the ballot. You can vote for me." They could easily throw their weight behind her now, and she could win the primary. And then they don't have to spend a big primary fight money.
When is the primary?
June, maybe Tuesday coming up. She's still on the ballot. So, I mean, if the people, you know what I'm saying? So it's up to the people of Maine. If the Democrats in Maine are like, this guy's not, you know what I mean? If the Democrats in Maine had enough with all this stuff and they just decide to vote for her, she's going to be the nominee.
New question for you, Grok. When is the Maine primary?
June 9th. The Maine primary election is this coming Tuesday, June 9th.
I think there's only 3 candidates. Ask how many. There's 3.
How many candidates are there?
Hundreds. There are more than 521 positions on the ballot for the Maine primary this Tuesday.
I'm talking about for the Senate to take Susan Collins' seat.
On the Democratic side, there are 4 candidates on the ballot for Susan Collins' Senate seat: Graham Plattner, David Costello, Janet Mills, who withdrew but her name is still on the ballot, and Andrea LaFlamme as a write-in. On the Republican side, it's just Susan Collins. She's basically running unopposed. So overall, there are essentially 2 serious candidates fighting for the nomination.
What?
What?
They're saying two serious candidates. Who are the two? Ask him who the two serious candidates are. I just want to hear his answer.
Who are your two serious candidates?
The two serious candidates are Graham Plattner on the Democratic side and Susan Collins on the Republican side. Plattner, an oyster farmer and veteran,
Do you want to yell
is
at
the
Grok?
heavy favorite.
No, I don't. But it's
Democratic
they're not competing against each other right now.
75 to 80%. Susan Collins is running unopposed in the Republican primary.
They're not
so
running
she'll be the
against each other
nominee.
now, Collins
Those
and
two
Plattner.
the
What are you
ones who will
talking about?
You're right. I misspoke earlier. My bad. They're not running against each other right now. Susan Collins is running unopposed in the Republican primary on Tuesday. Graham Plattner is running in the Democratic primary on the same day.
I still don't know how the sitting governor of Maine had a money problem. Like, is there something else that was going to come out about her? Or how did she not know all this shit about Plattner? She could have dumped it on him and got rid of him. I don't get it.
I don't think she knew about the kick stuff. And they try to play down the kick stuff. It's not just that he was on a platform for 13-year-olds. It's that he's on a platform for 13-year-olds with a cover picture of himself wearing nothing but a towel. I mean, what the hell is happening? How did anyone can justify that this is not... I'm sorry. The dude's a predator. The dude is a predator. I'm going to call it straight out. In my honest opinion, there is no chance that this guy is not a predator seeking minors when he goes on a platform that is intended for people ranging in age between 13 and 23 and puts a picture of himself wearing nothing but a towel and is reportedly talking to multiple girls on this platform. There is no chance in hell that this guy is not a predator.
Here's another thought. What if they're going to follow the same model they followed in 2024, and they're just going to wait until after the primary, and then they're going to get rid of them, and they're just going to put whoever the fuck they want on the ballot, just like they did, because a lot of people don't realize it. Technically, they don't even have to have elections. They could just pick who's going to be on the ballot.
The old Democrat playbook right there. Exactly. We don't really like having the public figure out who's our best candidate. We want to tell you who the best candidate is, just like we did with Kamala Harris, just like we did with Hillary Clinton. Now we're going to tell you with the Maine Senate primary who's best to run against Susan Collins. Exactly. Exactly. That's what's happening here. They're looking to wait. They're going to wait until June 9th. Let him win. And then they're going to embarrass the hell out of him as quickly as possible. By the end of next week, we should expect to see a torrent of horrible stories about how terrible Graham Plattner is, released by the Democrat Party under other channels in order to make the public say, oh my God, can you believe this guy won the primary? And to basically humiliate the hell out of him.
It'll make it like we had no choice. We have to replace him. We can't have him. And they'll go to him and say, listen, you can drop out and do this the easy way, and then we'll take care of you. You'll get a job. We'll put you on somewhere or something, and you'll still, still have a chance to have some kind of career other than, pretend oyster farming.
100%. I would be shocked if this does not happen. I agree with you. I think that this is very, very, very likely to happen. That they want to see him. All right, let's just have him win, and then we'll be able to replace him. And maybe they're not crazy about Janet Mills because she's old or whatever, and they don't think that she's the right call. So they basically want to help him win, and then just chase him the hell on out of there. And basically, they're gonna whatever hell Amy or Karen or whatever that lunatic's wife's name is, who was out there saying it's so difficult being running for Senate and crying about their infertility and challenges of trying to run for Senate while your husband is skirt chasing girls while they're watching K-pop. Those challenges that every new marriage faces. This is whatever challenges she thought she had last week, 2 weeks ago. Tip of the iceberg. It is going to rain down on him starting probably on June 10th. That's what you're going to see. I'd be surprised. And when we do see that, can you just say, hey, Joe told me this was going to happen? When we see that happen. This is the old Democrat playbook right there. J.H. Schwalbach says, Joe, yes, the most intelligent people on the planet have a middle name that starts with H. H inches. Circumcised is magical. H is a number we still don't understand, but we know it means intelligence. Prove me wrong. H. He wasn't unintelligent. The demon rats elected a Klansman to the Senate who they venerated as the conscience of the Senate until his passing in 2010, but elected a Democrat Nazi is a bridge too far for them. Fair enough. It's true. AI just repeats MSM. If you fear it, you stupid. Well, that's today. You don't know what it's going to do. You don't even know what it's going to do tomorrow. You don't even know. All right, I need to share with you this story that's been going on here. I never heard of this guy before today. His name is Jesse Ridgway. And what he says is, this is what he wrote. He's a big-time YouTuber.
I saw that. I did see the clip of it. I know who you're talking about now.
On YouTube, he's known, on X, he goes by McJuggernuggets. And he has 344,000 followers. He's got 4 million on YouTube and 2 billion views. Creator of Psycho series, My Virtual Escape and The Devil Inside. Keep it rigid. Okay. I don't dream about me out now. I don't know what that means. Okay. This week, my wife and I made the very difficult decision to terminate the pregnancy due to trisomy 21. The choice was not made lightly. We really appreciate all the personal stories that you guys share with us, especially the unconditional support we receive from fans with no matter what we decided. I know some of you may be very disappointed to hear this news. We are devastated. Really? This has been extremely traumatic for both of us, especially Ashley. She underwent the procedure earlier this week and is on the mend. Thankfully, everything went smoothly, but emotionally, we are drained. Trisomy 21, also known as Down syndrome, is caused by an extra chromosome. It's caused by an error in cell division, like a glitch. The odds of a baby having it is 1 in 1,000. When I first confronted this news, I was shocked but optimistic. If they're a little slow intellectually, then we'll make it work. I signed on to be a parent, come what may, but I just didn't fully understand what Down syndrome entailed. Once we made it public, it became clear that most people don't know what Down syndrome entails, and no, it's not the same as autism. That's true, it's not. 50% of babies born with Down syndrome will have heart defects. 75% will have hearing challenges. Over 50% will have vision problems. This is all justification as to what the odds are as far as having a difficult child.
I mean, when we were growing up, Joe, there was a bunch of kids that had Down syndrome. They went to school. You saw them. They were all everywhere. I mean, this is what's happening. They're getting rid of them all. Basically, just they're happy people. They live happy lives. They could get jobs and work and do different things, and they're not. I don't know. I don't know.
You're correct. Impaired immune function, developmental disabilities, learning disabilities, delayed physical development, poor muscle tone, structural issues with face, disease, decreased lifespan, etc. Sadly, the list is long. Feel free to look it up. Down syndrome isn't a blessing. It's objectively crappy from a health perspective. No, I don't think having Down syndrome is a blessing, but the child is a blessing, even if he or she has Down syndrome. I didn't realize just how rough it is for the child. Oh, now this is compassion for the child. Compassion that will put you out of your misery before you're born. Let alone the family. More often than not, they would be fully dependent on others for the rest of their life. The miscarriage risk is also close to 50%, which made matters worse. They may never see the light of day and puts Ashley further at risk. We spoke with doctors, friends, family, and genetic counselors and learned that up to 90% of women terminate their pregnancy after learning the baby has trisomy. This was way higher than I expected. I thought it would be lower, given that I hear so many say they were kept or would keep the baby. I believe that's because more terminations happen privately. It feels shameful, a lot of judgment being cast. You never think you'd be put in this type of situation until it happens to you, and then things change. To all my fans who weighed on this topic, who have autism, Down syndrome, or any other conditions, we appreciate you. You matter a lot, and we're glad you're here. I commend you and your families for having the strength and courage to push forward. As for us, we made a difficult decision that we believe in the long run will be beneficial for our family. Thankfully, we had a choice. It will take a little time to move on, but we're excited to try again in the future and hopefully have a better outcome, because this child was a fail. So hopefully it has the right color eyes and you decide to terminate it. Love you guys and thank you for your understanding. I wrote back to him, congrats on killing this guy.
Whatever you learn today, please remember this. I am a man with Down syndrome, and my life is worth living. Some people say prenatal screens will identify Down syndrome in the womb, and those pregnancies will just be terminated.
The anger in his face.
It's hard for me to sit here and say those words. I completely understand that the people pushing this particular final solution are saying that people like me should not exist. But to those who question the value of people with Down syndrome, I would make 3 points. First, we are a medical gift to society, a blueprint for medical research.
Think of how pathetic it is. Just, I want to pause for a second and think of how pathetic it is, how sickening it is that this guy has to justify to the world his right to exist. He's like, there's 3 reasons you shouldn't kill us off. Like, imagine like you have to sit there and present to the world like a case as to why you should exist. This is horrifying. But he feels a need to basically convince the world that he has a right to exist. That's the society that we've created here.
Into cancer, Alzheimer's, and immune system disorders on a deeply.
I'm saying is, let's say there wasn't any gift in medical. That doesn't make his life any less meaningful. But he's got to try and sit there and justify to these jackasses, these high and mighty, like, oh, we're so special people, that we have a right, that people with Down syndrome have a right to exist. It's horrifying. This is horrifying.
Personal note.
I mean, kudos to him for the strength and bravery and to get up there and basically make this speech that he made. But it's because of folks like McJuggernuts that he's got to actually tell this to the world.
I cannot tell you how much it means to me that my extra chromosome might lead to the answer to Alzheimer's. It's likely that this thief will one day steal my memories, my very life from me. This is very hard for me to say, but it has already begun to steal my mom from me. Please think about all those people you love, the way I love my mom. Help us make this difference. If not for me and my mom, then for you and the ones you love. Fund this research. Let's be America, not Iceland or Denmark. Let's pursue answers, not final solutions. Let's be America. Let's make our goal to be Alzheimer's free, not Down syndrome free. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Sickening to me. It's sickening. This guy is so sickening to me. There was a video. What?
It's been going on for a while in America. It's messed up.
I know, but like it's gaining national attention because they admitted to this. And Abby Libby, I don't know who this is, she points out this man was willing to put all the work and money it takes to keep a dog with no kidneys alive indefinitely, but he murdered his baby for having Down syndrome. This is, him writing about Sweet's super 6th birthday after she was diagnosed with stage 4 kidney disease last year around her 5th birthday. The vet said she had weeks to live. If we were lucky, maybe a few months. 1 year later, she's still fighting. You do this for a dog, jackass. She's the 0.001% of superhero dogs that continue living with no kidneys. We all need a hero in this life. Jenny has been one of mine. Sadly, you don't have any. It's because you don't have any kids. So I took a few responses to people saying, no one in my family suffers from my little sister-in-law's Valentina's existence, including Valentina herself. And for the record, she had heart and ear surgery. That does not make her an unworthy life. I would pray for the little soul of the child you killed. That's a cute little kid. And I want to be 100% clear, okay? I'm not saying that raising a child who has Down syndrome or any genetic disability isn't extremely challenging. No, it's more than challenging. It's life-altering for the entire family. It is. It's life-altering for the entire family. If there are siblings, all of a sudden this kid needs added attention. It is. It's life-altering for the entire family. That doesn't mean it's not a gift for the entire family. We don't always know. We always think we know the future, like what's best for us, or how we'll be happiest. You cannot chart your own happiness. No one can chart their own happiness. You don't know what's best for you. We think we know what's best for us. We never do. We never do. Invariably, whatever you think is best for you, if you actually attain it and get there, it's not quite as sweet as you're expecting it to be. So you're sitting here. I'll tell you this thing. I'll tell you this much. You have a Down syndrome kid. It's very unlikely that kid's going to grow up to hate you if you're like a loving parent to it and take care of it. The way, unfortunately, far too many children grow up hating their parents. There's so many different blessings that come with having a child who has Down syndrome. And again, it's not easy. It is life altering. But to sit there and basically say, I'm executing this fetus for the crime of having an extra chromosome is horrifying. It's horrifying. And this is something that's normalized. And they're like, well, I guess we're in the 90% of people who do this. Can you believe 90% of people it's horrifying. Like I said, it's not simply a challenge. It is life-altering. There's no question about it. You have to have different ramps and things that you have to build. You have to schedule so many different things. There's so many extra doctor's appointments and surgeries and fears and concerns. I'm not denying that. It is very, very, very challenging. Those challenges are what end up helping you grow into becoming a better human being invariably, if you actually take it seriously. If you step up and say, you know what, I'm going to be a man about this. I'm going to be an adult. I'm going to be a grown woman about this. And I'm actually going to come up to this challenge. And I'm going to make this a very, very happy life for both the child's siblings, and myself and my spouse. If you're a single mom and you're telling me that you have a Down syndrome kid, I still think that, hey, you know what? You shouldn't be killing that kid. I
think it comes down to you're either pro-life or you're not.
I understand that. I still think you're wrong. You shouldn't be doing it. You're telling me you have a successful YouTube channel, you're making millions of dollars a year, you and your wife basically are like celebrity superstars, you got 4 million followers, and you got 2 billion views? You know how much money these people have? You have any idea how much money someone who has 2 billion views has? Just gobs of money. They're crapping money. And you basically have an opportunity to take a life and give them a rich and rewarding life, which would be rewarding for you. And you're such a coward that you basically say, no. I need to have the picturesque, the two perfect, beautiful children and the white picket fence and all that other and the fancy cars. And I can't have anything that's going to be as ugly as a Down syndrome child. It's going to be too much of a burden for me. You can even hire people to help take care of it, like a live-in person. You wouldn't even notice it. Jackasses. I'm not saying during the early years, but like I'm saying, so it's not just you're able to keep working and do what you need to do. Hey, you have all these blessings from God, and you basically crap on that and basically say, no, to hell with it. I'm sorry. I can't handle having a child whose eyes look Asian.
Well, they can't. I mean, these aren't people. The 90% of people they're talking about couldn't be a person who could honestly claim to be pro-life, correct?
Well, obviously.
Those have to be people. I mean, because they can't just say, "Well, I'm pro-life," except for in this exception. This is going to be too much trouble, right? I mean, I don't know.
Here's a video of these two clowns.
Not the result we wanted to see, guys. I started to get kind of a not good feeling just when the results were sitting here. That's why I didn't want to open them. I started to feel really uncomfortable.
Pause for 1 second, Joe. This is actually kind of more disgusting. The more like, why fucking broadcast this and say this and do this for what reason? To make money on it?
Yeah. Like, oh, look at our tragedy that we have a Down syndrome.
We're hurting.
Fetus.
People feel sorry for us. Give us more money.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
That's even more sick and disgusting.
It is. These people are horrible, horrible, horrible people. You're right. I'm glad you called that out.
Comfortable about it. Just kind of in shock, like truly. We talked before this, guys.
Make sure the camera's rolling while my wife is in the throes of her crying about it. Let's sit in front of the camera and cry about this so everyone can say, woe is you.
About what would we do if we confronted this scenario? Because this was the more likely scenario. We talked about terminating the pregnancy. Obviously, things could change because this is traumatic, like very traumatic. And I know you guys even watching this, this is traumatic for the whole community. I think now that we have a definitive result, we'll talk with these counselors and we're going to have some hard conversations. It's just all very overwhelming and confusing to navigate. Ashley is almost halfway through this thing.
Halfway through?
This thing.
Well, how many weeks pregnant is she? She's 20 weeks pregnant? What, this fetus is 4 months old? That makes sense, actually, because I don't think you can actually get, what's it, amniocentesis, I think is the test that they use. I don't think you can even get that before 4 weeks, before 4 months.
But like the kid seemed healthy, and there's been stories of where the kid comes out and is like super functional, and so it's like, I don't know. There's a lot to digest, and we're not really going to be doing that in this video. We just wanted to let you guys in on what the results were.
Oh, I was ready. I gotta start all over. The start of our journey.
So you notice how it's not crying over the fetus. It's woe is me that I had to start all over again to try having a new kid. Woe is me, you self-absorbed, selfish prick.
Journey, you know, of just trying to start a family. This is how it starts.
A lot of people, it's not easy ever, you know, whether it's a miscarriage out the gate. You know, it's hard to look at like silver linings, but I mean, the fact that you can get pregnant is good. We weren't sure. And it was instant. We don't know why this happens. Maybe it is a birth control over a decade. Maybe it is just random genetic sequencing and it glitches, you know, just like cancer cells. Like sometimes it's just, we don't know. Guys, I'm going to kill the camera.
Yeah, we milked enough out of this. Sickening. Richard Hanani is saying having children has made a lot. This if you're angry already, this is going to get you angrier. Having children has made me a lot more pro-choice. Having children has made me a lot more pro-choice. Taking care of children is hard. Part of the payoff is imagining them living full lives as adults. I don't know how anyone could find the motivation to take care of them if they knew that wasn't possible. That's why only religious people don't abort in these situations.
Maybe that guy should. Maybe someone should do a welfare check on his kids.
Literally what I wrote.
Yeah, because something. I mean, so he doesn't want to take care of them if they're not good. What? No, that's if you're a parent and you have children or grandparents, whatever. You love those. You love them no matter what they do. You could be upset with it they do, but you're still gonna love them.
Not this guy. Apparently. It was sickening. Having children made you pro-choice. The hell is wrong with you?
He clearly wants to kill his kids.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how else can you read this sentence? And he's basically waiting for the day that they're out of his life, or relatively out of his life as functioning adults on their own. People sickening.
What he didn't say in there is that it's the cost, the financial cost to him, and it's going to interfere with the stuff he wants to do.
He doesn't even have a Down syndrome kid, presumably. He would have said so. Jacob Falash, I don't know who this is. He's relative. You don't know who he is either. Down syndrome is not an excuse to murder someone. Every baby is a gift and worthy of life. Look at this. Look at this beautiful thing. It's so cute.
Look at those. All right, ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Red.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
But I mean, Joe, this is what we're dealing with. You got to remember, the Democrats believe, as a part of their thing, that you can kill a baby after they're born if there's a problem.
Yeah.
Like, oh well, the doctor. Remember, the doctors will talk to the mother. That was what Northam. What was that his name?
Who?
Ralph Northam. He was the governor of memories, and it was a thing.
The law they actually passed is if you try to get an abortion and the kid comes out alive, you can starve it to death. You can basically avoid giving it care so that it dies, which is also horrible. But I've never seen, this is his response, I've never seen such hate and vitriol for two people grieving the loss of their unborn child and making an impossible decision. The last 24 hours have exposed a side of humanity that is deeply disturbing, being called a murderous piece of crap, evil compared to Hitler, and receiving nonstop death threats.
Well, Hitler did wipe out the people with Down syndrome, so I mean, they have that in common.
Yeah. Seeing my 6-year-old dog with stage 4 kidney disease be used as a weapon, manipulating my words and intent in a tweet, or saying, "will regret the decision forever, must repent to God," is absolute insanity. If you ever wanted to marvel at the depravity of people online, just check the replies of my latest tweet. It's a crap storm of epic proportions. This is reflective of the current world and landscape we're living in. What's more troubling is a lot of these people use God or Jesus as their justification for threatening us and wanting to cast us into hell. Seems pretty hypocritical. I don't think anyone should be threatening them. I just think that they should be called out for being slime. I happen to disagree with the notion of threatening them, but they are human slime. So many saying they would have kept the child, put it up for adoption, or are suddenly ready to adopt a Down syndrome child. That's great. You can do all those things. However, many of these people throwing stones don't even have children, let alone one with condition, and most likely will never do the things they say they're going to do. There's been some heinous crap said about my wife and I on some extremely large accounts. It baffles me that there's such trashy-ass people who have significant followings. I think you're a significant following and you're a trashy person. If you can't contribute anything meaningful, anything meaningful to the conversation aside from insults, then just don't post. What? So if we disagree with you, then it's not meaningful? On the other hand, there has been tremendous stories of people who kept their Down syndrome baby, and that's awesome, very courageous, and they do look very happy. That's your choice, and I support it. This was ours, and we can't do that. It's very easy to accept the differences between us when it has no actual bearing on your life. What shocked me most of all was that this story has become mainstream news. A couple's abortion is suddenly newsworthy in 2026.
You fucking made a video and put it out there. You made it news. They made it news. Fuck you, dude. You're not going to say you blame anybody else when you fucking put it out there. If you'd have kept it a secret and somebody went and found out and put it out there, then I would say, you know what? This was a private matter. They kept it private. You fucking did it for a reason. You wanted it to blow up. It just blew up and it went the wrong fucking way. You thought your fans were all going to cheer and clap and they didn't. Sorry.
The reason this blew up is quite simple. It's because nobody talks about it. I can't blame people for not talking about these vulnerable experiences publicly because you see disgusting backlash that ensues. It's very divisive. Luckily, after 20 years on the internet, this is par for the course for me, taking on the crazy. So I'm glad I could help further the conversation. That's exactly why I wanted to share this story. People still need to see vulnerability and hear the raw truth. There's real suffering going on, and it's being done in silence and fear.
What are you talking about? You weren't silent. You fucking broadcast it. You made a video talking about it and how now you're going to start over and have to try again. And oh my God.
No, he's saying they're in silence and fear. So we spoke out for them.
He was trying to say they were in silence and whatever.
So many mothers have reached out privately commending us on our bravery to speak truthfully about this topic. And we really appreciate that support. We want you to feel less alone and feel less ashamed.
Oh, they want everyone to kill the Down syndrome babies. They're going to have a cool, basically have a movement going forward. Just kill more. Kill them all.
All right. Sorry.
No problem. No problem. Back to like the whole thing with the dog stuff and everything. Like I spent not on Bella, but the dog previous to Bella had cancer, and I spent a bunch of money on the dog. But you know, I would spend my last penny on my grandkids or my children. I you know, I mean, I don't know.
So it's horrible. It's a horrible story. And there's a lot of people have thoughts on this. So let's catch up on some of the chats that came in while we were covering this story.
Okay. Sorry.
I let them mature as I was like going through. I'm just gonna have one last thing before I get to that, and that is from this guy Dave Bruno. To anyone reading this who might be facing a similar crossroads, meet my son Josh. Josh is 3 and has Down syndrome, the very condition shared about here in this post. We received a prenatal diagnosis at roughly 10 weeks. Some of the complications we feared happened, but that wasn't the end of the story. Josh was born early and spent a month in the hospital. At 1 year old, he had open heart surgery. Now he's 3, loves life, and is thriving. The hard days didn't win. If anyone else finds themselves in a similar place, reach out. There's a whole community of people here to support you. It hasn't always been easy, but he's worth every bit of it and then some. Look at that adorable kid. Just adorable. I have a story I'm going to share with you. I'm going to share with you a personal story.
Okay.
I may have shared this once or twice before. I don't know. But it's relevant to this. When my youngest daughter was born, so we did not have amniocentesis. We didn't test to see. My wife was older, and we knew that Down syndrome is more common the older woman is. So I think she was like 39 or 40 when she was born.
Well, they consider anything, I think, over 33 now geriatric pregnancy. Which first time I heard it, I'm like, what?
Yeah. And we hadn't had a kid in 5 years. The previous one was when she was like 34 or so. And what was interesting is we were going to go for amniocentesis. Her OB wanted her to get amniocentesis, and for one reason or another, it didn't work out. So we ended up not getting amniocentesis and having no idea whether or not our child had. There's like only a window of time that they can actually do it. And for one reason or another, there was cancellation, and there was a whole problem with the OB office. My wife got really angry at them. After my daughter Hannah was born, so pediatric, they have in the hospitals, if you never had a baby before, you might not be aware of this. So hospitals have pediatricians come in and check out newborns to see if they're okay. Pediatrician comes in and says, we think your daughter has Down syndrome, and we want to get her tested. So my wife was blown away by this, and just like she was like speechless, and she's contemplating like all the changes it's going to have on our life, and she was despondent. And I was like, look, whatever the situation is, it's all in God's hand. I don't think she has Down syndrome. I really don't think she has Down syndrome. I don't think she has Down syndrome. So they said that there are a bunch of markers that indicate a newborn has Down syndrome, which make them question whether, when they look at a newborn baby, it has Down syndrome. The size of the eyes, the distance of the toes from each other, certain lines on the hand, which palm readers read. And they said that they identified 5 markers in my daughter, which indicate that there was potentially Down syndrome. And the only way to know for sure is by having genetic testing, which takes several days. It was very traumatic. She was born like shortly, 6 days before Passover. And my wife she was like thinking about the impact this would have on her siblings, because all of a sudden, like, a child who has Down syndrome, it changes everything. Like, everyone has to revolve around like, okay, what are we going to do with this kid, this little girl, this little boy? Like, it changes everything. And she was just, it was impossible to talk to her. And she was just like in her own world. Everyone's calling and wishing her congratulations, and she didn't want to take their phone call. Like, normally, when every other kid we had, she's all beaming in excitement, and she was just like, the level of concern about what's going to happen was just horrifying. When I asked the doctor, he's like, we see 5, they said we see 5 markers. So I said, out of how many? Like, how many markers are there? So he's like, well, we see 5. So I said, what does that mean, 5 markers? Like, he's like, well, that's signs of Down syndrome. So I said, 5 out of how many? Is it 5 out of 7? Is it 5 out of 1,000? 5 out of how many? And he's like, well, I told you, we just saw 5. So I said, out of how many? So he's like, out of all the markers, he goes, out of all the markers we look for, we found 5. So I
how
said,
many markers? He's trying to.
How many markers?
Yeah.
He's like, we look at all of them. I was like, I don't understand why I can't get an
I would have
answer
been
from
losing
you.
it at that point, man.
Yeah, I was like, why can you not answer my question? How many markers do you look for? All of them. I'm like, I don't know. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? I was literally screaming at this guy. And when he walked out, I said, I'm telling you now, to me, it's not possible that she has Down syndrome. I was like trying to make my wife, buck up her spirits. It's because one of the markers that I know that they say that, about children of Down syndrome is that they have lethargy and weakness in their muscle. So they lay their heads when they're newborns, and they can't lift their heads up because they don't have enough muscle in their head to actually turn their head from side to side until they get older and they develop that muscle in their neck. And I said, and this kid just keeps looking around. I said, I think that that's like something that's impossible for someone with Down syndrome to have that type of muscle, because they wouldn't be able to develop it. So I was like, I'm telling you now, she doesn't have Down syndrome. But It was.
Did they ever tell you the number of markers there are?
No. They never would tell me the number. But I'm saying
there's probably something like 100 or 50 that they check, and it's like, well, there's.
I don't know. So he said, we're going to get it tested. And I said, and my wife is like, of all the kids you've gotten tested, what percentage have had Down syndrome? So he said, I don't send them for testing unless I think they have Down syndrome. It was like so difficult to get a straight answer out of this guy. It was just like impossible. I credit the hospital that when they called up, they said, we'll call you in a few days, we'll let you know. It's either she has it or she doesn't. Now, and I'm like, everyone in my family has small eyes. We all have small eyes. My mother had very small eyes. We all have very small eyes. And that seemed to be like the main feature they were focusing on there. There were, I guess, other markers. It's like where the ears lay and the earlobes, whatever. Anyway, bottom line, what I credit the hospital was when they called up, the way that they told my wife, because they know that any parent in the situation is freaking out. The wording of what they did was, this is Jenny from St. Mama, hospital, whatever, calling with excellent news for Susan. So like, even like when you're first getting that call and like this is it. This is like, the outcome, this is the verdict of like what your life is going to be, that they don't make you wait and guess, but like, when they tell you they're calling with good news, okay, that's like, your kid is okay. And yeah, I mean, obviously I still get emotional, like thinking about like that day, but yeah. And that's why I spent a few days contemplating what it would be like all the different changes I would have to make to the very structure of my house and how my family would operate and how we would carpool and how things would be different in a scenario. Because I'm telling my wife, she doesn't have Down syndrome, she doesn't have Down syndrome, but I'm already starting to like plan out, like, God forbid if she does have that, what are we going to do? Like, how are we going to like, take care of this child? But it's never like we're going to give this kid up for adoption or anything like that. No, it's a matter of like, this is how we're going to deal with the situation. And but my point is, I'm coming from a place where I've really contemplated what it would be like to add a child to my family. And thank God, Hannah is a gorgeous young girl, perfectly healthy. She would never know that, but for the fact that we've told her the story, no one would have thought for a second. She happens to have right now the largest eyes of anyone in my family, like much larger than any of ours. But, it just goes to show that like, if you could be put in a circumstance where you really actually have to contemplate, like, how would your life be different? And because of that, when I'm sitting here and I hear people dealing with these type of situations, like, I don't know what it actually entails, because until someone lives through it, you don't know what it's like. What I can tell you is that, I've at least had to seriously assess how my life would be different. And yeah, it's intimidating. Don't get me wrong. It can be intimidating as hell and scary, but that doesn't mean that like, when every story you hear of someone who has a kid with Down syndrome, you never hear stories of them like, people who are good people who are actually like miserable because they have a kid with Down syndrome. The left wants to make you think you need to kill them all. It's horrible. It's horrifying.
I hate that something in my mind is cynically saying like, all right, is this the hospitals doing this shit just to make extra money so that they could charge for these tests? It's probably super expensive.
I don't know. Anyway, let me catch up on some of the chats. AI just repeats MSM if you fear you're stupid. Joe, remember, my only job is to make you laugh, and you do it well. You do your job very, very well. Oh, I am pissed. Lizzie coming on in here with a pity. My niece had a Downs baby. He's 9 months, adorable, healthy, and very much loved. Unbelievable. It's horrifying. It's really, and these are, especially when you're sitting there fighting to have a child, you're struggling with infertility, and you didn't get one you like. Like, how stupid are you? So stupid. There was quite a bit of actors, actresses with Down syndrome. This is crazy to me. Yeah. The left is down with Hitler. Think. After learning about the full extent of the patriarchy and everything about that being a girl entails, we decided to terminate the pregnancy. Yeah, imagine that. Imagine if someone's like, well, it's not a boy. It's not a boy. What are we going to do? The patriarchy is terrible. Guess we have to kill it. Horrifying. According to Maine statute, Plattner steps down by 5 p.m. on the second Monday of June. The Democratic Party can replace him by 5 p.m. on the fourth Monday of July. Easy peasy. Yeah, but they got to get him to agree. That's basically what they got to do. They got to get him to agree. My grandson has Angelman syndrome. I never even heard of that. Do you know what Angelman syndrome is?
No.
I assume it's something similar to Town. And it's true blessing. And they already have Plattner's kick messages, including him calling his junk Mein Führer, and how he said he would blitzkrieg a girl's backside. Can you imagine? This is the wife like we're supposed to have sympathy for, who basically calls her husband's genitals Mein Führer. I have no sympathy for that woman. None. Zero. The parents took their time to gather all the statistics to justify ending the pregnancy, but they didn't take time to watch the video of this young man. Yeah, they didn't watch that poor young man who testified for Congress. Daniel Strang says, I definitely think abortion is wrong. In the future, would gene therapy be a morally acceptable solution to correct genetic disorders in the womb? If you're saying gene therapy, like we're going to try and basically Frankenstein to play, let's figure out how to give my kid, a better shot at life or look prettier or something like that. Like, what are my thoughts on gene therapy? If that's what I assume you mean by gene therapy, I personally don't have very strong feelings about that one. Assuming I think it's a little bit creepy, but I don't have like a position on that I'm married to. That is what he means, right?
I think so.
Do you have any thoughts on gene therapy?
Well, I mean, I don't support. I don't think anybody should be messing around and playing God when it comes to that. Like I think
a lot of people are like that.
Like like the stuff they're doing with. Where they're like, oh, we're gonna pick the eye color, we're gonna pick this, we're gonna do this, and oh, who wants an ugly kid? You ever heard the people talk like that? Like they want a beautiful. I don't know. I don't. What happens if you? I don't know. You don't know what. How do they know what they're doing with the CRISPR stuff? Yeah, that they're doing. That's no, let it alone.
But if they could do it properly, how would you feel about it? Let's assume that one way or another, we know that we're not going to be like, we're not risking anyone's life, health, or whatever, and you're just changing their genes. Let's just imagine that there was a magic pill that was already invented.
To take away a chromosome
not take away a chromosome. I guess, take away a chromosome. Let's start with that. Let's say take a Down syndrome kid and make him not Down syndrome. Let's imagine there was such a thing as that. Would you have a problem with that?
Probably not. I mean, whatever. It's up to them, their choice, I guess. I mean, I wouldn't want them passing laws against it.
Mm-hmm. What if it wasn't?
I would think about it of my own.
What if it was to give them blue eyes or make them smarter?
How do you make someone smarter?
Let's imagine that they had gene therapy that can make someone have a higher brain capacity.
I don't know, man.
Superhuman.
That sounds. Oh, so we're gonna have like X-Men, give them superpowers.
Yeah, let's assume.
That's playing God. That's playing God.
So you don't like that, huh? Hands One Pack says if you get to down abortion, Valiant Renegade has personal story he posted on X about how testing was wrong with his kid. Wow. Hands also says Tucker lives in Maine and shows in how he has changed. Odd bunch in Maine. It is an odd bunch.
Yeah, I don't think the testing, like if I'm not mistaken, like the amniocentesis, I think they even have a new test now where they don't have to, because that's risky doing the amnio. They have to go in with the needle and poke them, and that's risky. There's risks involved in that.
Yeah.
But I think they might have found a new way now, but it's not like 100% accurate. I think it's like 50-50. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think it's that perfect. I don't think the testing is that good. Like they're not like, well, there's a chance. It's like a highly likelihood that this is, you know what I mean? Like there's an increased risk of this is what they say.
Yeah. And these people are betting are trying to make claims based on like the percentage and the odds. Zelen says, Joe, am I Jewish because I buy multiple firearms from Israel company? Am I Jewish? No.
I do see you, American Dreamer. I did type in the chat that, yes, I see you. If you don't see me typing I see you in the chat, you definitely blocked my account somehow. She tells me all the time she doesn't see me in other people's chats, so I don't know.
Hands One Pack says, if you get to down, it says Tucker lives in Maine. I got that one. And he also says, these parents remind me of how Christy Noem took care of her dog problem. Yeah, it does. It's creepy. Put it out of its misery because it could not be trained. Margaret Sanger, we're proud her eugenics project is working. Also, he says, we killed our kid, give us sympathy, views, and super chats. Yeah, that's essentially it. Essentially, that's why I wrote the message that I wrote there. What else do we have here? Joe sent you my comment to this YouTube dude. Let's see what she sent. Let's see what she sent. What she sent out was, two of my 3 daughters have a form of muscular dystrophy called CMT. I'm glad I didn't make your decision. It's hard growing up and parenting. Figuring out workarounds to mobility, etc. Both married. One has 4 children. The other 2 all healthy. They're blessings, anyways. Of course. Well, good on you. Amazing on you. Joe, JH says, Joe, it's always been strange to me how people with Down syndrome and Asians look so similar. Once we start down the slope, it's not going to stop. That made me tear up and sad. Not good for humanity. Yeah, it's not. It's not. I'm Gen C. About 33% of my generation has been aborted. Just think about that.
I mean, like New York,
just
New York
think
has a history.
Just think about that number.
Yeah, it's crazy.
We would have 25% more people right now than what we have, but for abortions.
I mean, New York State or New York City, one of the two, aborts more African American babies every year than are born alive. That's a stat that should drive anyone insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's the smallest generation on record. There's been about 1 billion abortions worldwide since 1950. A literal infanticide.
And it's worse now with the pills, all these different pills and stuff that they're just shipping through the mail. I mean, there's no telling how many there's been.
What's next? Looking at the parents' family history, and if there's a significant history of cancer, diabetes, heart disease, and the pregnancy, that's not coming tomorrow, but it's the same philosophy. I'm religious, but I'm going to go ahead and say that you don't actually need God to tell you that murdering babies is wrong. It's apparent enough. Yeah, you would think so. You would think so. Worry is a demonstration of lack of faith. This is true. Moons Fire says, watch the movie Cafe de Flore. It'll explain a lot if you're open to it. Beautiful little boy, Lawrence, stars Vanessa Paradis, who's brilliant also. A beautiful, extraordinary, intense film. I'm not familiar with that film at all. I don't know if you are.
That sounds like a French film.
Yeah.
I don't watch a lot of foreign films.
Mm-hmm. There are 8 physical markers. Oh, well, thank you for the heads up. I finally got a number on that. So apparently my child had 5 out of 8. I did not know. Hitler believed in eliminating the subs. Yes, that's true. That is true. He did believe in that. I should mention, I haven't counted up, but I'm just going to call it go. So good on you for that. Good on you for that. What did I say I was going to do if I hit the goal?
Saturday show? I think you said you were going to have people call in to talk about this.
Yes, I did. I knew there was a second thing. The Saturday show is happening. And I also said I'll have people call and talk about this. Thank you. I knew there was a second thing. I was like, there was definitely a second thing.
Yeah, I would just say, it's not the similar as this so much, but I did have a scare with my first grandson when he was about a year and a half old. We started noticing bruises on him and stuff like that. So took him to the doctor, and he had some, like at first they were like, we think he has leukemia, and that was like devastating. Like,
yeah,
what? So we had to go take him to a specialist children's hospital in Tampa and everything like that, which is a pretty long drive for me. Which I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it's like a serious trip going there for tests and doing different stuff and everything. And it turns out he didn't. But the week and a half waiting was brutal.
Yeah.
Thinking like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like why did this happen? What's going on?
Yeah.
This is some weird, like they said he had a virus and it caused something that it's normal. It'll go away. Basically, it's going to go away. What it is, it's just his body. It's white blood cells attacking, but it's not leukemia. It's some different thing, and it went away, and it's fine now. But man, it was, dude. Like I cried, man. I was like very upset. Like
I have no doubt. Of course you cried. it's your grandkid.
Yeah,
of course. You think about the suffering they're gonna have to go through, and you know, the concern for their entire future. Of course. The number to call if you're interested in calling in is, and you want to talk about this topic or any topic that we covered tonight, or just, you know, I prefer if it's a particular topic that you have in mind, but I guess the whole Down syndrome abortion thing, or some story you want to share about your own personal struggles in a similar arena. The number to call is 972-454-0703. That's 972-454-0703. The number is down below. My phone lines are open right now. You can feel free to call in and talk about this. And, you know, if you have a personal story like that, I actually had 2 other children that when they were infants, we had scares with their long-term health out of my 6 children. But I mean, the interesting thing is, you know, with my youngest, it's not even like there was anything wrong with her. You know, at the end of the day, it's just a doctor saw something and got scared, and that just, you know, turned our life upside down for 5 days.
Those days are brutal. Waiting.
It's Thad the man.
Thad the man, how are you, brother?
Fine. First, a piece of advice for people out there listening. If a doctor ever does that to you, what you do is you demand to see an administrator. You demand the doctor be taken off the case. Find another doctor who will answer your question.
Are you saying the 5 markers question? I was so angry.
Be a Karen.
Yeah.
I think they invented the term Karen just to dissuade us from doing shit like that.
I agree with you. I wasn't enough. I was just like, he's not going to answer my question. He's not going to answer my question. But
well, find a doctor who will.
Yeah. I was so aggravated. But the one thing that really buoyed me was I in my heart of hearts, I never fully accepted. I was like, no, it's impossible, because she turns her head. She's like, the entire time you're holding her, she's like this, like looking around. I was like, it's not possible that a kid's born with, and did I know that to be a scientific fact? No, I didn't. But I was just like, to me, it doesn't make sense that would be every Down syndrome kid. In my heart, in my mind, I basically decided every kid is born with Down syndrome. Some of them have this marker, some have that marker, but I just don't see how it's scientifically possible for them to be able to have the strength in the neck, because that's part of having Down syndrome. They wouldn't have the strength in the neck. So this guy told my wife he's never been wrong before. Every time he sent someone to be checked, they had Down syndrome. That's why she was so, like, she was convinced.
What kind of an asshole would say that?
She's like, she's like, have you ever been wrong before? He's like, no. So, yeah. Anyway, thank you, Thad. You're right. It's great advice.
Yeah. Anyway, there was this Nightline, or I'm not sure whether it was on Nightline or 2020. It was about a couple who, when they were pregnant, they discovered their baby had some congenital disease that would mean that 100% the baby would die within a year of birth or so. And what they did is they wrote a diary about all their baby's moments. They took pictures and everything. And this Nightline episode, they just went through it all, reading it. And before Charlie Kirk was killed, I wanted to write him a letter suggesting he try to find that episode of Nightline, because I thought that episode was a very strong,
powerful
advertisement against abortion.
Yeah.
Because the baby did die within
You think
a year.
ABC would do that anymore? No. You wouldn't see them do that type of messaging anymore. You just wouldn't. It would never make air.
And for those people who wrote that column, and for anyone, you should be aware. You know those scenes in all the doctor shows in the ER when the first patient comes in and all the doctors are running around popping the things, popping the tubes and injecting them and cutting them open to keep them alive in the panic. You know those scenes?
Yeah.
Well, I guarantee you one thing: unless you live to be 90 or 100 and die just of old age, you are going to see that. Only you are not going to see that from the perspective of the doctor. You're going to see that from the perspective of the patient, as I learned.
Oh.
And then all that stuff about this is important, that is important, that goes away.
Goes out the window. It goes right out the window.
Exactly.
Thank you, Thad. I appreciate the call, my brother, as always.
Oh, I was going to ask you about the Divine Council, too.
What is the Divine Council? What do you mean? What is that?
I was going to ask if there's a Talmudic equivalent to the Divine Council.
I don't know what the
It's,
Divine Council is.
It's a Hermetic, made by, popularized mostly by a guy named Michael Heiser, based on a verse in Deuteronomy, which goes something like, when God split the world, he divided the nations among the sons of God, and for his own portion, he kept Israel, or the sons of Jacob.
Okay.
Because Israel didn't exist at that point. And the way he read it is that the sons of God were basically what we would call angels, lesser Elohim, who he said rule over this, rule over that, rule over that, rule over that, rule over that area of the country. And he kept Israel for himself. And I was wondering if there's anything in the Talmud which is similar to that.
It's interesting you asked me this question today, because just today I was studying with my son, and I came across something that was, we believe that there are 70 different nations that came out from Noah. 70 different nations, and that they, let me just get to this real. Richard Parker saying, if you're too weak to make it through hard times, you don't deserve to enjoy the good times. And I agree with you on that, Richard. It's that's where you're proving who you are as a person. So on the 70 nation thing, I'll tell you that it's a well-known amongst Orthodox Jews, the concept of there being 70 different nations. This comes up frequently in Torah and in Talmud. One of the things I'd never heard before was that each of those 70 nations have their own land that is most suitable for them. And there's actually a dispute whether 72 or 70 nations, according to the Maharal. And he says that there's actually 72 nations, but only 70 lands, and 2 of them didn't have lands. And those are the ones who evicted the Jews from Israel. But it's a fascinating thing to me that like basically, so, but it's a notion that God basically allotted to each of these different nations that they have their own land, which is most appropriate for them. But so I think that's the closest thing I can come up with to what you're describing. But
I think you're missing a little thing here. It's the sons of God part, which he says means that there's basically what Christians would call angels. One was assigned to each nation. One would act as a mini god over that nation and rule that nation.
yeah,
And they formed the council.
we do have,
the divine
okay,
council.
okay. So we also have a concept as far as there being an angel that's overseeing for each of those nations. But we don't look at that angels as being sons of God. That's not something we would say. We wouldn't refer to angels as being children of God. That's the concept of children of God is something that I think is unique to Christianity. That's not something that we don't have concepts
The
of.
exact Jewish phrase, I'll mispronounce it probably, that's in Deuteronomy is B'nai Elohim.
Okay. Well, okay. So, and that does translate as, do you know where in Deuteronomy it is? Let me just pull this up.
It's Deuteronomy 22, but I couldn't tell you the exact verse in 22. I think it's 22.
Deuteronomy. Let me see what you're referring to. I'll do a quick look here and see if I can find it.
By the way, why don't you number the passages in the Torah by like Deuteronomy 22, Deuteronomy 23, but you don't number the verses. Why not?
The verses are numbered.
They are?
And we're not the ones who numbered it. Actually, it was non-Jews who came up with all these different chapters. But so it's not you guys. It was done by non-Jews. But it's become so well known that even Jews reference it. So, which is a little bit of a surprising thing.
What was the passage in Deuteronomy that Michael Heiser often quotes?
Did a quick look here through. Now you have me all curious.
Oh, sorry. Deuteronomy 32, 8-9.
32. Okay, I was never going to find 22. I was looking through it very quickly here. No. Now I can scroll on down. Deuteronomy 32, 8-9, you say?
Yeah.
Okay. At 32.
When the Most High gave to the nations their inheritance, when he divided mankind, he fixed the boundaries of the peoples according to the number of the sons of God.
Okay, so that's not Torah.
That's not Torah?
No, that's a new. You know how like I said that sometimes they change things a little bit in the New Testament and their version of what you call the Bible. So when I'm looking at 32, 8-9, it says, give me the passage you have one more time. Read it to me.
When the Most High gave to the nations their inheritance, when he divided mankind.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up on screen so everyone can see what I'm reading, and you'll see the difference. It's really interesting when there's these little small differences which make a key distinction. To me, it's a very interesting thing. So this is
it just different numbering?
No, it's the same passage. But go on. When the Most High gave nations their homes, yeah, what do you have? And set divisions of humankind. Or set the divisions of what? What do you have?
When the Most High gave to the nations their inheritance, when he divided mankind, he fixed the boundaries of the peoples according to the number of the sons of God.
Yeah. So we have it as when the Most High gave nations their homes and set the divisions of humankind, the boundaries of people were fixed in relation to Israel's numbers. Yeah, we have it as Israel. We don't have it as children of God. We have it as Israel's numbers. And we don't have B'nai Elohim or B'nai, what you have there. We have
B'nai Elohim.
No, I know that's a reference to God, which we avoid saying often. Not always, depends on the circumstance. So that's a little bit deeper than I need to get into right now. But the point is that that is a reference to God normally, but where you have that word of Elohim, we have Yisrael, which is Israel. But we have B'nai, this over here, this word that in Hebrew that you see here, Jim, this is B'nai that he's saying. So that's B'nai, but this is Yisrael as opposed to the word Elohim, which is completely different letters. So that's why it's really interesting that your version is different. So I can't answer for what the Bible says. I can only tell you my understanding of Torah. My understanding of the Bible is very, very limited. So there you go.
Okay.
Good catch there. Have a good night, Thad.
You need more mods in your Rumble chat, dude.
Do I?
Yes. Some people keep creating new accounts, dropping links to OnlyFans and shit.
Nice.
Well, I mean, if you want that.
Yeah. The more detailed view on the divine council is seen in Psalms 82, according to Heiser. I gotta go to Psalms 82. I've never heard the term divine counsel, but that doesn't mean that there isn't something that we have that's taken from. This is Kimmy calling.
Call from Kimmy Hunt.
Let's see. I recognize her number. Hey, Kimmy.
Hi, Joe. Hi, Jim.
How you doing?
Okay. Yeah, that upset me with a couple that decided to advertise to the whole nation and the whole world they found a chance to play victim.
Mm-hmm. That's what it was. Jim called that out.
Yeah, I'm so glad he did, because I was yelling at my TV. Like I said last night, it beats yelling at the TV when I can call in or I can write a super chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, my situation, I had no idea I was as strong as I was until my firstborn, who I thought was perfect, all of a sudden wasn't meeting her milestones and wasn't walking. And she didn't walk until she was 22 months old.
Right.
And then she would lean into a walk and let her body weight, as she was falling, she would move her legs and walk. And it took a long time to get a diagnosis on her. Doctors kept saying, oh, you just hold her too much, you're spoiling her, put her down and she'll walk. I got all kinds of weird things until finally they said she's got Charcot-Marie-Tooth, and it's a form of muscular dystrophy, and it's a recessive gene. It doesn't make sense. They sent us to genetic counseling, found out my husband, his grandfather, and my great-grandmother were first cousins. And we both had the recessive gene and gave it to her, which was dominant.
Wow.
So they said the chances of us having this again were 1 in, I think it's 25%.
Right.
That this would happen again.
Right.
So we had the next baby, and my middle daughter is completely 100% absolutely normal.
Mm-hmm.
And she did Irish dancing.
Right.
But my third daughter had it again. So I have 2 daughters with this. Yes.
When you're talking about that, we actually have in the Jewish community is plagued by a disease called Tay-Sachs, which is
Tay-Sachs.
which is a terrible disease, and is fatal. And I mean it's fatal in that children rarely live to the age of 5, and none of them ever lived to 20. It's a common thing there are a lot of Jews who are carriers of Tay-Sachs. Because of this, in the Orthodox Jewish community, there's actually an organization called Dor Yesharim. What they are exclusively there for is that when Orthodox Jews, male or female, reach around the age of 17, anywhere between like 17 and 20, invariably they'll take a blood test and leave a blood sample with Dor Yesharim. And when we date, it's always for purposes of marriage. Before we date, we'll send out for testing to see whether or not we're compatible or whether both parents carry, because like what she's describing, why is it 25%? Because you have a dominant and recessive gene. In order for someone to have Tay-Sachs or many of these diseases, you need to have both. If you have both genes are carry a disease, then you have the disease. If only one of them carries it, it's recessive. So you wouldn't. So neither. So you would be a carrier, but you wouldn't be someone who would have the disease itself. It's only when 2 parents who are recessive have a child that each contributed the recessive gene that it would express as the person having the particular disease. So when 2 people are carriers, in that case, they have the recessive Tay-Sachs, and it's a 25% chance that their kid will have Tay-Sachs. So we actually get tested beforehand before we even date. So because it's basically like, let's make sure that we're not putting together people who are both carriers, and then God forbid they'll have to bury a quarter of their children.
If that's just a question.
And that's
one second, Kimmy. Jim's weighing in. 1 second.
If one parent has the gene and the other doesn't, it's not a problem, correct?
Correct. So if one parent has no recessiveness, in that case, then the children basically depend. Then they're 50-50 on whether they'll be carriers, but none of them will have the disease.
Okay.
So
that was my next question: was if their kids would be carriers. Then
the kids 50%, because if the one who carries the recessive gene passes the dominant gene, then they won't be the dominant non-disease gene. Then they won't be then the kids will not be carriers. If they pass the recessive gene, then they'll get the recessive gene, which will make them a carrier, and the dominant healthy thing from the other parents, and they'll just be a carrier into the next generation. But we're very mindful about that because here's another question for me, Jim. Go ahead.
If they had a way that they could genetically alter it to remove that gene, would you be okay?
No, I'm
with
talking.
that?
Jim's talking. 1 second.
Remember how we were talking about altering stuff? Would that be
Yeah.
one of the cases where you'd say yes, that'd be something you'd want to?
I didn't weigh in on it at all because I haven't really thought it through well enough that I feel as if I have a position on it. I can definitely understand the notion of basically saying if a kid really is going to have a life of struggles, and you can manipulate their genes in a way that you know you're not going to be harming the kid. If such a thing were possible, that you know you're not harming the kid and can only be improving them by making them disease-free, to me that sounds like medicine being used properly to help enable the child to live a healthy life. My first reaction on that is that sounds like a good thing, but I wouldn't want to weigh in on it without thinking it through more. So
I was just wondering,
and I ultimately would defer to whatever Torah says on it. But go ahead, Kimmy.
First, I want to say that I didn't know how strong I was. I thought I was just an average person.
Yeah.
And then when I was confronted with this, I said, okay, God only gives this kind of burden to those that can bear it.
100%.
So
I agree with that.
If I get into a situation where a certain situation is happening as they grow up that I don't think I can handle, I'm going to have to lean on his mercy and his strength to get me through that battle until we get to the next situation. And in those moments, that is where God shows his power.
Yep. And the other thing is this,
can't handle.
and it goes more than that because it actually makes you stronger where if you had a tougher challenge, you're then better prepared for that tougher challenge. That's how God enables us to grow into like being more developed human beings. I had this same, I've said this, I know I've said this before. I have 2 nephews God has blessed me with a lot of nieces and nephews. I have 25, out of my 25 nephews, plus I have more than 25 nephews, but and plus nieces on top of that. But out of the 25 boys, 2 of them, one on my wife's side, one on my side, are autistic. And both of those kids are blessed with parents who are remarkably strong, loving, powerful people who you wouldn't even know that it has any impact on their life, even though if I think about intellectually, I'm like, it must be a significant impact on them. But they're so strong and so loving and so that, you would never know if you just met them that, they are dealing with that challenge every single day. But they do. And
it is a challenge. All of it is a challenge.
Yep.
One of the hardest things I had was when my youngest said to me, Mom, you keep saying that God, is with us with this. Why did God make me this way? And she was like 13 years old at the time. And I said, well, I've thought about that. And I think that God sometimes uses people to show others how people deal with challenges, and it encourages them to deal with their challenges. And also, if they are helpful to you and kind to you, then God gives them a blessing for being kind and helpful to you. So God is using you to bless them also. And in that, he gives you a blessing.
Yeah.
And at 13, she went, oh, okay, that makes sense. So
and it's very wise words you gave her. Very, very wise.
I'm here to show God to other people and his power. And I said, that's right. And I said, and that's a wonderful thing. But you know what? They both ended up, even though they were in wheelchairs and scooters and whatnot, my oldest got a master's degree in education. She went through her bachelor's degree and then got a master's in education. She taught high school for a couple years. And she got married to a guy in the Marines. And right now they're stationed at West Point, and she's got 4 kids.
Mhm.
4 kids. And then my other daughter, she got married and she has 2 kids.
Beautiful.
And they're 3, 4, 5. 5 are sons and 1 daughter. And I told them when they started having all these boys, and they're like, Mom, we were raised 3 girls. What do we do with these boys? And I said, well, I think God gave you the boys because he knew that you would need their strength when they got older, maybe to help you get around when I'm gone. And they went, oh,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Oh, there you go.
And when your husband's maybe something, I said, I'm
And
not
I'll tell you
anything
what-
on anybody, but
What you're saying is 100% accurate. I would even go a step further. It's like, you know what? The reason God makes it this way is I wouldn't say it's like, for these situations. I love what you said there. It was brilliant. And the way you can actually make it even more powerful is to give an example of so that some situation that happened, so that so that John would basically decide, is he going to help you cross the street? Like, take a situation that actually happened and give him that opportunity there to help you. If you actually walk them through, it's not for one person, it's for every person in the world. That's why she's like that. It's the blessing that people can appreciate their own health. If everyone is born perfectly healthy, we would not appreciate the blessing of being born healthy. So then you could be like, oh, so I'm the cursed one who doesn't? No. For you, it's a perfect blessing. For you, this is what you need so you can grow into becoming the perfect person that you are. It's, but to the person who's born completely healthy, it's only a blessing to them if they actually take a moment to pause and think about the fact that they have a blessing, that they're born, with healthy muscles and organs that function properly, et cetera, et cetera. So, but there's countless blessings, and every day there's new blessings that come out of it that could not possibly happen but for the fact that you were born the way that you were. And that other person who's born with a different issue, that they're born the way they are, and that other person who's born perfectly healthy, that they're born the way they were. That's ultimately how God is creating the beautiful tapestry of the world.
correct. I want to give you one more anecdote before I go. My oldest, when she was in college, we both went to New York City for the first time. And we were 2 little Ohio people that went to New York City. She is big on Broadway. She loves musicals. So we were going down there for musicals and all that stuff. And it was right after 9/11 happened. It was probably about 3 years after 9/11 happened. Anyway, she was in her scooter. She had a scooter that would disassemble and we could put it on the plane and reassemble it and all that kind of stuff. And we were in Times Square and she was in her scooter and I was walking beside her and we were, just enjoying the ambiance and whatnot. And we got into a crosswalk to go across the street and her scooter hit a bump and it disconnected one of the wires and it stopped dead in the middle of the street. And 4 strapping New Yorker men picked up her scooter with her in it and walked her to the curb to the other side.
That's
and
so cool.
we reconnected it and Mandy looked up at me and she said, well, I guess I'm a blessing today.
Nice.
So that's a little anecdote. But yeah,
that's great. That's great.
It's just even perfect strangers, and they were
Indeed.
blessed that day.
Indeed.
So,
well, thank
right,
you
I'll
so
let
much,
you go.
Kimmy. You're awesome. Take care. All right. I really
Okay,
appreciate
bye-bye.
the call. You're awesome. Have a good night. And to answer your question, JH Schwalbach, who asked me, because I said we reach our goal and we're going to have a Saturday night show. He's saying, when you say Saturday show, do you mean Sunday early morning with no heads up like last week? The answer is very possibly. Very possibly. Understand this. Shabbos ends really late, like 10 o'clock at night. So it is when I get home. I know it really technically ends at 9, but I spend time in my synagogue afterwards. I don't get home till like 10 o'clock at night. And then I have to turn on my phone. And then I have to catch on what's going on in the news. And then I have to put things to figure out what I'm going to talk about and what topics I'm going to cover, and find appropriate links, and then send out, and then create thumbnail and all the stuff to create a show, which is more than you would think. It takes at least like a half hour to put together this stuff. And once I have all my research and I have all my links, it takes me like a half hour to create the thumbnail, the title, the description, the SEO, put it up on Rumble, put it up on whatever. And I'm not saying this to say, woe is me. I'm just telling you because, that's everyone's got a job. Everyone's got different things they need to do for their job. And that's part of what my job is. But it also is a factor as far as on the timing of things, that for me to get that stuff up, because I have to get it up all posted at least 30 minutes before showtime. So if anyone's going to even see a notification about it. So the chances are very high it will be after midnight. I'll try to make it a little earlier than last week. I think I started like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Can I make a suggestion, Joe?
Go for it.
Why don't you tomorrow before, during, maybe 3 o'clock,
create the
4 o'clock,
links for the
create
show?
the links. Just create the links. You don't have to, you can put a placeholder title in, because you will have stuff to put in. You'll get this email.
Yeah.
That
so you're saying,
so
you're saying I should rely that you're going to find me gold.
Have I not sent you stuff every fucking day for the past how many months?
You do send me stuff every day. Maybe. That's not a bad idea.
I'm just saying. Plus, you'll have the email from Friday, too. So you'll have the days and emails.
This is true. I do get the Friday.
I mean, if there's something you see in the Friday one, you could actually make it with the Friday stuff. And then if you see stuff later you want to add, you could always do that.
Yeah, but then like all of a sudden there's a shooting in like the Washington and
and
everything else gets blown up.
Yeah.
Anyhow, it's a thought. Maybe we'll do that. I'll have to see. Derna says disability is comparative. My friend with cerebral palsy is brilliant. I doubt he'd give his mind for the ability to walk without support. Nor have I met a person born blind who regretted it. I'll share one last story with you all. I'll just tell you that if you're ever dealing with someone like that, the best thing in the world is, if you're dealing with someone who's got a disability, the best thing in the world is to, in a friendly way, if you develop enough charisma that you know how to pull it off, that you actually lean into their disability as a point of humor. I'll share with you a story that happened to me 2 days ago. I was at a wedding, and I saw there's this blind man who was at the wedding, right? His eyes are closed, he's got the walking stick, and he's standing there. He's a relative on the groom's side. So there's a whole bunch of noise and commotion going on, and this is not. And I was like, oh, okay, this is a great opportunity to to do my good deed for the day. So I asked him if he was standing, and in the middle of nowhere. So I was like, can I help you get somewhere? So he goes, well, my nephew is the father of the. It's the father of the groom, and his son-in-law is supposed to be help me, so I want to wait for him. So I was like, I can walk you out to where the ceremony is going to be, and when I'm walking him there, so he's like, I don't know. I was like, don't worry, I'll find him and I'll tell him where you are, so he's not worried about you. It was like someone's gonna knock into him or something. Who knows what's gonna happen? So, and I was walking him out. And I was chatting with him. And I basically, when I let him out to the proper place, I said, "Don't worry, I'm going to get you a prime seat, so you're going to be able to see better than anyone." And he just started laughing. I said, and I was thinking, I was like, "It's a shame you're not a little taller, because it'd be awesome if you were blocking everyone else's view." Because he was not that tall. But you imagine if you take a blind person and you basically put him in the front row and just blocking a whole bunch of people. To me, that, I don't know, I would have found that to be hilarious. That the guy who can't see is basically unwittingly blocking everyone's view. But when I told him, I said, don't worry, I'm gonna put you in a place, you're gonna have the best view of anyone there. He just started laughing and laughing. And my point is, when you lean into it, you're basically treating them like they're a normal person, instead of being like, oh, woe is you, oh, poor is you. The healthiest way to approach a situation is to basically, be like, okay, I'm gonna joke around with you the same way I would joke around with a friend of mine, and I'm not going to basically make you feel as if I'm looking at you like I need to protect you, I need to whatever. Yeah, I'll lead you out there because that's what you need. But as far as feeling pity or something for you, no, I'm just going to be going to treat you like anyone else. And that's the biggest gift you can give them, is treating them as normal, genuinely normal, not someone who's
you didn't ask
crippled or whatever.
What his son-in-law looked like or whatever he was looking for. Say, what does he look like?
It's funny. I said, wait,
What does he look like?
No, when he said his son-in-law, so I go, the redhead, and he's like, yeah. I said, so I go, how do you know? So I forgot about that. Yeah,
you know what I think too, like I put up, like a lot of people don't even think about. I mean, and this does not affect anyone's opinions about this person we're going to bring up. But it's not about what you think of this person. There's been reports about stuff with them, but whatever. But Stephen Hawking, the stuff that this guy did when he couldn't was, you know, I mean, he has, you know, like he changed modern physics basically.
That's what they say. I think they overrated him because of his
so?
condition. I don't know. I assume they did. I'm like, yeah. It happens to be the most brilliant guy and the scientist of all time.
Oh, so do you think there was other people typing the stuff? It wasn't him?
No, I'm just saying, like, you know, no one understands what his contributions are. Can you tell me one contribution Stephen Hawking made?
There was something about it's not.
You don't understand it,
man. I don't understand it.
So exactly. So they tell us he's the best, but I think that's part of the pity thing, that they're just like, no, he's really amazing. He's the smartest one. You know, he's like the Magnus Carlsen of like science. I'm like, he's the Michael Jordan of science. Really? Is he? Maybe. Look, maybe he's the Bill Lambier of science. You know, really influential, but not like, you know, the top one. But that's how they make him out. And I'm just like, I think that maybe they get a little overhyped just because of the disability. Or maybe, maybe they feign the disability for the purpose of getting that.
Have you heard about, was it Helen? Is it Helen Keller? Is the one that there are a lot of people saying that it was all?
I don't even understand Helen Keller. I do not understand how she was able to learn anything.
So that's what I'm saying. A lot of people are saying it's all a scam. That was all just some woman.
It does not make sense at all to me. It does not make how it is that a person who cannot see or hear has any capacity to interact with humankind is beyond my concept. You're telling me just from touch and feel that you can learn like a language, or that doesn't, you wouldn't even conceptualize what language is. Like how it's like, I don't even understand. I don't believe any of it with Helen Keller. To me, it doesn't make any sense at all. How would she know that there is such a thing as language? How would she know there's such a thing as communicating with someone else? Or that someone's trying to communicate? None of it makes sense. I mean, I guess she can conceive that there's someone else out there. How could she conceive that people can see or hear? How could she possibly get that? None of it makes sense to me. Anyway, yeah. If you ask me, the whole thing's a scam. Anyway, watch The Miracle Worker with Anne Bancroft. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Anyway, I thank you all for being here. God willing, I will be here Saturday night, very, very late Saturday night into early Sunday morning. I'm going to remind you that you need to check out Jim's channel, which he did not send. Oh, he did send me a link ultimately. Look at that. He did send me a link. Did you post it in the chat?
No, I didn't post it in the chat. I give it to you. If you want to add me as a mod on Rumble and DuckFat or someone else, that would be.
I think I added DuckFat. Hands on Pack says, don't get your start on physics and relativity. You definitely don't want to get me started on that. We're not doing that. It's been a while, but we're not doing that tonight. That's maybe another night. Anyway, I will post this and follow Jim here. All right. It is now there for your viewing pleasure, and I will share this in the in Rumble chat and as well as the YouTube chat, so you can just click it and get over there. Give this awesome guy a follow because he is phenomenal. And yeah, so, and what else do I want to tell you? Oh yeah, that lab meat was never meant for you. It's meant for they, them. You should know that by now. If not, I don't know how you made it through life. And do not eat the bugs. Just don't do it. It's just wrong. It's gross. It's disgusting. And frankly, you make me want to hurl. Until next time, have a good night. Great weekend. Godspeed.